Chapter 1, 1991, July 27. London. In downtown Westminster, in a luxurious villa covering an area of nearly 10,000 square feet. Third grade, beat all the students in the class to tears. In the fourth grade, I buried 10 pounds of fireworks in the bathroom, and they exploded into the sky. Fifth grade, live broadcast of in-depth exchanges between the principal and teachers. The most outrageous thing is that at the 6th grade graduation ceremony, you actually gave a hammer and sickle speech in front of so many dignitaries. If it weren't for the fact that you are the last member of the Lawrence family, you would still be under review by MI6. In the reception room, the middle-aged man wearing a suit and with a meticulous posture told the glorious deeds of the handsome young man opposite him without expression. At the end of the sentence, the corners of his mouth twitched slightly. You won't know if you don't count them, but you will be shocked if you count them. Apart from these annual, big events, there were so many small problems that he was too lazy to count. You went to elementary school, why did you make so many mistakes? Wayne Lawrence, I am discussing a very serious topic with you, please focus your attention. Seeing that the young man was a little distracted, the middle-aged man frowned and raised his voice slightly. It had been many years since he had become secretary to a cabinet minister, and he had never been distracted by others when he was speaking. He, Humphrey Appleby, Chief Secretary of the Home Office, was hailed as a model of civil service in the British Empire and had an unlimited future. Now he has to worry about his nephew's schooling. The handsome young man sitting opposite him is his nephew. Wayne Lawrence, the heir to the title of Earl Lawrence of this generation. The Lawrence family has always been a single generation. When it came to Wayne's parents' generation, they encountered an accident shortly after Wayne was born, which made him the only child of the Lawrence family. In order to prevent his sister's bloodline from being cut off, Humphrey has cared more about his nephew than his own son over the years. Oh, sorry, Uncle Humphrey, just thinking about something. You continue. Wayne's apologetic smile, coupled with his perfectly handsome appearance, gave people a polite feeling, and it was completely unimaginable that he did the things he just said. The middle-aged man's expression softened slightly and continued. Wayne, I already talked with Danvers from Harrow School yesterday. There is no problem in getting into there with your grades, but, please restrain your strong curiosity and excess energy. Otherwise, if you don't get good reviews in the college evaluation column, it will cause great trouble for you to enter Oxford and Bailey College in the future. Harrow School is the most famous and oldest aristocratic school in England. Its most famous alumnus is the British Prime Minister during World War II. Wayne, what's that look in your face? Uncle, I don't think I said I wanted Harrow School, right? Wayne Xiaoshang spread his hands. Then where do you want to go? Eton College. No, they are just famous. In recent years, they are getting worse every year. As long as you have money, you can get in. Westminster Public School. No way. This school has a strong artistic atmosphere, but it won't be of much help to you in entering politics in the future. Humphrey tried his best to analyze several famous schools nearby. The more he thought about it, the more he felt that Harrow School was the best choice. But Wayne acted as if he didn't hear anything and took out an envelope from behind his back. There was a wax seal, a shield, and a capital H surrounded by a lion, an eagle, a badger, and a snake. Sorry uncle, I won't go to any of these schools. Wayne showed a standard formulaic smile. I don't want to be a muggle anymore. Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Principal, Albus Dumbledore, President of the International Federation of Magic, First-Class Magician of the Order of Merlin, Chief Magician of the Wizengamot. We are pleased to inform you that you have been admitted to Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Attached is a list of required books and equipment. In addition, due to your family environment, we will send a professor to your home at 9 a.m. tomorrow to answer questions and provide guidance. Quote. Hogwarts. After reading the contents of the letter, Humphrey looked at the mark on the wax seal. As the top leader of the entire English official system, Humphrey has no secrets in England. He also knew about that group of talented people. There is even some contact between their department and the Ministry of Magic, which governs that group of freaks, and the two parties have had the experience of cooperation. The only thing that he didn't expect was that his nephew actually had such qualifications. You want to go to Hogwarts? Of course. Wayne nodded slightly, I definitely want to visit such an interesting place. Then he complained, I have been to a boys' school for 6 years since primary school. If I go to Harrow or Eton for 7 years. Wayne couldn't help but shudder. No wonder dying has his own national conditions. After more than 10 years in an all-boys school, many people are either bent or have to become bent. Humphrey fell into thought. Since it is your choice, I respect you, Wayne. If you have the opportunity to learn extraordinary strength, I will not refuse it. However, in case this is a scam, I will come over tomorrow and meet the professor with you. Of course, Wayne didn't object. After making an appointment, Humphrey declined Wayne's invitation to have dinner and hurried back to Downing Street. Wayne also understood this. Uncle Humphrey not only has to deal with a lot of official business every day, but he is also busy competing with Jim Harker, the Secretary of the Interior. Although the minister has not received systematic training as a politician, he looks funny. But the killer instinct he occasionally displays is enough to give Humphrey a headache. After instructing the servants at home to prepare a table of delicious food to celebrate, Wayne returned to his bedroom first. Think silently in your heart. Brother system, let's discuss it. How about returning the points I spent in the past few days to me? In the worst case, I will return those rewards to you. Both parents are dead, and he has a car and a house. Wayne Lawrence is undoubtedly a time traveler. As a time traveler, it is natural to have your own plugins. Since the 3rd grade of elementary school, his plugins have been available. The Devil System. As long as you break the rules and create chaos, you can get chaos points and use them in draws. If you make enough noise, you can even get a critical hit bonus. It is precisely because of this system that the originally standard 3 good students gradually drifted away and became the devil that is now talked about in Westminster Abbey Primary School. Not to mention being excellent in both character and academics, he can also be said to be someone who hates people and hates dogs. If it weren't for his excellent grades and strong background, he would have been expelled from school several times. Over the years, Wayne has received many awards. For example, when he bombed the bathroom in 4th grade, he got a chance to optimize his body. The original Wayne was already very cute, but after optimization, his appearance has reached a new level, making him more immersive. His cute appearance has also become an important weapon for him to escape punishment. Another example is the speech about hammer and sickle that he gave before graduation, which allowed him to obtain the secret technique of the memory palace, and he has never forgotten it ever since. Just 2 days ago, Wayne put all his points into a lottery and won hundreds of thousands of pounds, some academic knowledge, and a Golden Epic Award. A non-dilutable 15% share of an operating software company. But who would have thought? This is the world of Harry Potter. The moment I received the admission notice from the fat Scottish round-faced chicken this morning, the system also issued a timely notification sound. A change in the host profession has been detected, and the system is being upgraded. The 2.0 version of the Demon King system is here to serve you wholeheartedly. We hope you can add different vitality to this boring world. Wayne sighed. If he had known that he would receive the Hogwarts admission notice, who would have spent the points so cleanly? However, thinking back on his experiences in the past 11 years, Wayne tried to find evidence of his magical riots and got some clues. Once when he was traveling to the United States, he looked at the Statue of Liberty and thought the torch was too ugly. As a result, the arm of the statue was broken, and it made the front page of international news. At that time, I thought it was because the statue of the goddess was in disrepair. Looking at it now, it was probably caused by the explosion of my own magic power. After waiting for a while, the system finally responded. The points consumed will not be refunded, and the host will be given a job transfer gift package and a system upgrade gift package. Looking at the few lines of words on the light screen, Wayne finally felt a lot better. This can be considered a mix of 2 novice gift packs. Turn on. After taking a bath with incense and praying 3 times to the Tao Te Ching, Wayne casually opened the treasure chest. Open the job transfer gift package. Congratulations to the host. You will get a character template card and open the personal attribute panel as a bonus. Open the system upgrade gift package. Congratulations to the host, you will get a Pokemon egg after some localization improvements and a set of incubation devices. Wayne's eyes widened slightly. Good guy. Is it so awesome to upgrade the system once? Pokemon eggs are all made out. This is all across the world. With a thought, an incubation device and elf eggs about the size of a suitcase appeared on the table, along with an instruction manual. The operation is very simple. Just put the eggs in, connect the incubator to the power supply, and it will hatch automatically after 10 days. However, the system specifically states that if a drop of blood is placed on the eggshell, the Pokémon will automatically reach full intimacy after birth. After installing the incubator, Wayne looked at another reward. Template card Gold. Randomly obtain all the talents and special abilities of a wizard above S level, including S level. S level. System, how are these levels divided? Wayne asked curiously. Soon, a line of words appeared on the light screen. D-level talent, barely passed the Owl's exam. C-level talent, can pass the Newt's exam normally. B-level talent, active magic, a little talented in magic. A-level talent, brilliant, a genius in the eyes of ordinary people. S-level talent, a genius beyond common sense, enough to leave a mark in history. SS-level talents are rare to encounter in a century. Looking at the long history, they are also dazzling existences and affect the course of history. SSS-level talent, legend. After reading it, Wayne was silent for a moment. He did not rush to open the template card, but ordered. Open my profile. He wanted to see what his talent was in this area. Host, Wayne Lawrence. Magic, A+. Charms, A. Defense against the dark arts, B. Black magic, A+. Transfiguration, B. Potion, A. Alchemy, A. Special talent, Memory Palace. Photographic memory, increased brain capacity. Comprehensive evaluation, A. You have powerful black magic talent. You can become an excellent dark wizard. Sound Yen, embrace the darkness. After reading his own panel, Wayne's eyelids were twitching. The overall evaluation is A, and at first glance, he can be considered a good genius. However, his rating is a bit outrageous. It is entirely supported by his outstanding talent in magic and black magic. As for potions and alchemy, the reason why these two talents can reach A is probably because of his photographic memory. The problem is that black magic cannot be used casually. When the time comes, Old B will be the first to talk to him. Turn it on, Wayne said angrily. Hurry up and unblock the template. He has ranked first for 6 consecutive years, and has also won the Mathematical Olympiad Grand Prize. He is a super powerful primary school student who has mastered countless skills. Oh, he is now a middle school student. How is it possible to get an A rating? Don't ask, asking means the system will suppress you. The golden light shattered, and Wayne didn't see anything clearly. The template turned into a stream of light and penetrated between his eyebrows, and the system beep sounded belatedly. Congratulations to the host, you have obtained the SS level template, the ancient Greek archmage, the invincible Andros. There was a slight dizziness in my head, and then there was an indescribable feeling in my body. Magic. He truly felt the presence of magic. He couldn't see or touch it, but Wayne raised his arm and the teacup on the table floated. No spells, no wands. He just hoped in his heart that the teacup would float, and it would naturally float. In just a few seconds, Wayne could already feel the change in his talent. It's completely different. There was no Andrews in his memory, and Wayne was a little confused for a moment. Who is this, so fierce? He subconsciously opened his current panel again, his pupils slowly dilated. Host, Wayne Lawrence has inherited Andrews' talent. Magic, SS A+. Charm, SS A. Defense against dark arts, SS plus B. Black magic, A+. Andrews' black magic talent is B, not retained. Polymorph, S+. Potion, A+. A. Alchemy, A. Andrews has not mastered any alchemy. Special talents, Memory Palace, Natural Holy Spirit. The power of the patron saint is greatly improved, and the defense against black magic is bonused. Wandless spellcasting, it is easier to master wandless spellcasting skills, and the power of wandless spellcasting is improved. Comprehensive evaluation, SS, your talent is at the top of all living beings, and you can reach the top if you follow the steps. After seeing his current panel, Wayne only wanted to say 3 words. Return, have, who. From A to SS, Wayne's heart has been extremely expanded. After receiving the template, he also learned a lot about Andros. This is a famous wizard from the ancient Greek period. His most terrifying achievement is that he can summon a giant-sized patron saint by casting spells without a wand. This was unique at the time, and even now, no one can do it. Because a patron saint needs the power of positive emotions, the stronger a person's patron saint is, it represents his justice. So while he was called the invincible Andros, he was also called Saint Andros by his contemporaries. Regardless of the final rating of SS, Andros's strength is far beyond what the system evaluation shows. His black magic is only B level, potion and alchemy are also terrible, if these can be improved to S level. Wayne has no doubt that Andros's rating will get even higher. This is not a gift pack for newbies, it is simply an invincible cheat code. System, if you don't want to pay back the points, I won't pay them back. I can still earn them in the future. How about you send me another compensation gift package? Wayne asked expectantly, but received no reply for a long time, and heard the servant outside the door asking him to go down to eat, so he had to give up. After dinner was over, Wayne didn't waste any time and went back to the dormitory to start exploring magic. Just like a child who gets a favorite toy, he will never let go until he gets tired of playing with it. Magic is much more interesting than toys. Although he does not have a wand, perhaps because of the talent of wandless spellcasting, Wayne can still use magic simply. Control the cup to fly around the room, and finally give it a firm squeeze. Boom! Teacups worth hundreds of pounds were broken into pieces and fell to the floor. I imagined restoring the cup to its original shape again, but this time I failed. Although the pieces were put together, the cracks were obvious. Is it because there is no spell? Wayne thought for a moment and tentatively shouted that the cup was restored to its original state, but there was no change in the cup and it was still dilapidated. It's impossible even if you think about it. Wayne laughed and shook his head. If a spell can take effect simply by saying it, why would you need a book? Just issue a spell dictionary. There must be some other mystery inside. For a whole night, Wayne didn't rest. It wasn't until Humphrey came to his house that he stopped with unfinished intentions and his spirits were slightly depressed. The entire set of teapots and cups in the room were all turned into pieces, and the servants were extremely distressed when they came in to clean it. This little thing is already higher than their monthly salary. Didn't you sleep well last night? Seeing that Wayne closed his eyes and meditated as soon as he arrived in the living room, Humphrey also understood. After all, he is a child and must be extremely curious about magical magic. Wayne didn't refute, just hummed slightly and continued to rest. The time came to 9 o'clock, and the doorbell rang on time. Coming. Humphrey, who was working on the documents, looked slightly moved, and Wayne also opened his eyes. I don't know who the professor will be. The door was opened by the servant. Humphrey was stunned. There was no one at the door, it was empty. At this time, a calico cat walked in, and in the shocked eyes of the servant and Humphrey, it transformed into a woman of about 50 or 60 years old. She has a serious expression, wearing square glasses, a green cloak, and a tall wizard's hat on her head. Perfectly fits the author's description of wizards in fantasy works. Seeing that the servant was so surprised that he was about to faint, the woman frowned, took out her wand and flicked it. The servant looked dazed for a moment, then left the door to mind his own business and went to other rooms. I'm sorry to frighten you, but I have proven too many times that I am not a liar, so I can only use this more direct method. I am Minerva McGonagall, Deputy Headmistress of Hogwarts and Head of Gryffindor. Professor McGonagall introduced himself and followed a set of procedures smoothly. As the most dedicated teacher at Hogwarts, she goes to the homes of many young wizards born in Muggle families every summer to prove to them the existence of wizards and that the letter is not a prank. It can be said to be rich in experience. Hello Professor McGonagall, my name is Wayne Lawrence. Wayne quietly looked at this older, over-aged cat lady, and sighed at his good luck. The guiding NPC in Novice Village is Professor McGonagall, who is definitely more reliable than Hagrid and Snape. Mr. Lawrence. McGonagall nodded, exclaiming that this little wizard was so cute, much better than the crooked ones she had in school. Thinking of the servant just now, she explained, it's best not to let too many muggles know about magic. Please don't worry, I just used a confusion spell. Then, McGonagall looked at Humphrey, who had been sitting there, looking at her. This is, your father. No, he is my uncle. My parents passed away a long time ago. Wayne shook his head, and Professor McGonagall's eyes were immediately full of apology and pity. I'm sorry, I didn't know that. It's okay. Wayne smiled softly. At this time, Humphrey finally spoke. Wayne, since I am sure that the other party is not a liar, I can rest assured and go to work first. He did not choose to stay and accompany Wayne to Diagon Alley to buy the necessary items for the start of school. Although he was quite troubled by this nephew, Humphrey also knew that this kid was a big kid and nothing would go wrong. Before leaving, Humphrey said to Wayne, "If you encounter any problems at school, you can contact the Minister of Magic, Millicent Barnold. He may be able to provide you with some help." Under Professor McGonagall's surprised gaze, Humphrey hurried away. Although Barnold retired a year ago and the current minister is Fudge, but Mr. Lawrence, can you explain to me why your uncle knows about the Ministry of Magic? Wayne didn't expect that Humphrey would actually say that. I must have checked out a lot of information about the wizarding world through Downing Street channels after I went back yesterday. He quickly explained Humphrey's work to Professor McGonagall. At the same time, I was still a little touched. The reason why Humphrey went to investigate these was because of his nephew. Although the information was lagging behind, Wayne understood. Professor McGonagall looked at Wayne deeply. This little wizard's family has a really high status in the Muggle world. With his own title, in the magical world, he is comparable to the 28 prestigious pure-blood families. There are many little wizards in Hogwarts who were born into Muggle families, but those like Wayne. It seems there really isn't. But this seemed good, at least she didn't have to bother explaining the various questions raised by the parents. Wayne accepted the existence of magic easily. Mr. Lawrence, since you have no questions, let's set out for Diagon Alley. By the way, bring some Muggle cash, which will need to be converted into wizard currency. Looking at the time, it was not yet 9:30, but McGonagall still looked anxious. The admission of students from Muggle families was originally a matter between several deans. However, Professor Sprout went to the United States to visit one of her seniors, and Snape was taken away by Dumbledore. This year, McGonagall's task was particularly heavy. In the afternoon, she had to go to the home of a young wizard. What's it called, Granger? Please wait a moment. Wayne nodded obediently, went upstairs, carried a school bag, and walked down. McGonagall glanced at him, feeling rather heavy, but he didn't say anything more and put his hand on Wayne's shoulder. Hold your breath, it may be a little painful, but it will be over soon. After saying that, without waiting for Wayne to answer, McGonagall activated disapparition. There was an explosion out of thin air, and the two figures spun and disappeared, as if they had been sucked away by a toilet. Wayne felt like the world was spinning for a while. When his vision became clear again from blur, the two of them had arrived in a small alley. Apparition. McGonagall explained. One of the ways wizards use to travel, generally used for relatively short distances. It will be hard the first time, but it will become more comfortable later on. Are you okay, Mr. Wayne? It's nothing, just a little dizzy. Wayne recovered quickly and rubbed his sore eyebrows. He didn't sleep all night, and what happened just now made him feel sleepy. Led by McGonagall, the two came to the entrance of a bar. The door is very shabby, in stark contrast to the record store and bookstore next to it. Pedestrians passing by didn't even notice the existence of this bar, or in other words, they didn't even know there was a bar here. When the two entered the bar and saw McGonagall's face clearly, the originally noisy environment instantly became a lot quieter, and many wizards stood up subconsciously, looking very nervous, which made Wayne want to laugh. Most wizards in England graduated from Hogwarts, and the wizards here were once students of Professor McGonagall. Now that I see my former teacher, I recall the fear of being dominated by Professor McGonagall, just like a mouse seeing a cat. Professor McGonagall. The bar owner Tom smiled and said hello. Oh, this little wizard is so beautiful. Is he a new student this year? Wayne smiled, looking very shy. Professor McGonagall nodded. Yes, I brought him here to buy teaching materials and equipment. By the way, Tom, I remember that your children will also go to Hogwarts this year, right? Of course. Speaking of this, Tom was obviously very happy. Hannah has been waiting for this day for a long time, but there is a high probability that she will be Hufflepuff's new student. McGonagall also smiled. If a Gryffindor is born in the Abbott family, this matter will definitely be on the front page of the Daily Prophet. Many people started laughing. The Abbott family is also one of the 28 pure-blood families. All members of their family are from Hufflepuff, and there have been no exceptions for hundreds of years. After a few brief exchanges of greetings, McGonagall led Wayne through the bar and into the small walled patio, where there was nothing but a trash can and weeds. "Count 3 bricks up and 2 bricks sideways." McGonagall muttered softly, and pointed his wand on a brick that was obviously more concave inward than the other bricks. A total of 3 taps. The bricks trembled rapidly and small holes began to appear, then the holes grew larger and larger until a winding cobblestone path appeared. "Please remember this brick in my actions, Mr. Lawrence, and you can come to Diagon Alley by yourself in the future." Wayne asked softly, "Professor McGonagall, if what happens if this bin is moved, or replaced with a larger or smaller one?" McGonagall's mouth twitched and he looked at Wayne in disbelief. This "if" it made her panic. "Mr. Lawrence, there were once 2 little wizards who had the same idea as you. They put the trash can on the other side." Having said this, Professor McGonagall pursed his lips and his face turned ugly. Hogwarts received a complaint, and their college was deducted 50 points for this. After this, the bin was permanently bonded, making it impossible to move or replace it. Wayne wisely did not ask which academy these 2 little wizards were from. In fact, judging from Professor McGonagall's expression, he had roughly guessed something. Following the witch, Wayne raised his legs and stepped through the arch and onto the cobblestone road. The CBD of the British wizarding world appeared in his eyes. There are countless shops on both sides of the long cobblestone street, many of which have crooked signs. The wizards on the street are bustling with people, and people are constantly appearing and disappearing, making crackling explosions. In the distance, a snow-white house divides Diagonal Alley into 2 forks. "Let's change the money first, and then buy the wand." Along the way, Wayne's eyes never stopped, wandering between various stores. Professor McGonagall had seen this situation too many times, but he still couldn't help but smile. Watching Wayne eagerly walk into Gringotts, McGonagall thought back to the question he had just asked. She always had a hunch that this little guy was not as obedient as he seemed. Compared with other somewhat humble shops in Diagon Alley, Gringotts is undoubtedly a conspicuous presence here. The white building has a shiny bronze door, and there are actually 2 goblins in scarlet and gold uniforms standing at the door. With this appearance, it is worthy of being the only designated bank in the wizarding world. However, the wizards' operations were also rather confusing, and they actually handed over the financial lifeline to foreigners for management. Wayne remembered that goblins in history were dishonest, greedy and despicable. They had launched rebellions more than once in history, and even coveted Gryffindor's sword. More than 100 years ago, he tried to use the power of ancient magic to cause trouble, but was stopped by a 5th-year transfer student at Hogwarts. But it's not Wayne's turn to worry about these things. When the sky falls, a tall man will hold it up. When he becomes a tall man in the future, if the goblin comes out to cause trouble again, he will be crushed to death with 1 finger. After entering the first door, a second door appeared in front of McGonagall and Wayne, with a line of words engraved on it to warn those with ulterior motives. Wayne ignored it without even looking at it, and entered the marble hall. There were about 100 goblins sitting on high stools behind the counter. Some were weighing coins with copper scales, and some were inspecting gems and registering in ledgers. There are countless doors in the hall, leading to different places. McGonagall led Wayne to a counter on the far right. "This is the new little wizard who enrolled this year and needs to be exchanged for gold galleons." McGonagall's attitude toward fairies was not good, and he urged him impatiently. The fairy behind the counter didn't care, and said without raising his head, "Each little wizard has the right to exchange 70 galleons per year. The exchange rate is 1 to 5.75. How much do you want to exchange?" "That's just a little, what's enough for you?" Wayne frowned. "It's actually enough." McGonagall whispered to him, "Excluding the necessities you bought, there is still 10 galleons of pocket money left every year." McGonagall thought Wayne didn't understand the currency and purchasing power of the wizarding world, so he introduced it to him again. 1 galleon is equal to 17 sickles, and 1 sickle is equal to 29 gnats. Wayne was not too surprised when he heard this outrageous prime number exchange rate. This kind of nonsense has a long tradition in Britain. Before 1971, £1 was equal to 12 shillings and 1 shilling was equal to 20 pence. People who are not good at mathematics are often confused by the complicated exchange rates. Forget it, let's just go 70. Wayne stopped worrying and took out 8 £50 bills from his wallet and put them on the tray, and took another £5 bill in change. After the goblin took it away, he just glanced at it and stuffed it into the cabinet roughly, then took out a small cloth bag and handed it out from the window. Seeing Wayne put the money away, McGonagall said, "Okay, let's go buy wands and other supplies now." Professor McGonagall, I know you are in a hurry, but please don't be in a hurry yet." Seeing that Wayne had no intention of leaving the counter, the goblin frowned. "You have finished exchanging your share for this year, what else can you do? To open a treasury, your assets are not enough. You can only apply for a treasury if it exceeds 500 galleons." Wayne took off his school bag and opened the zipper a little, revealing a hint of golden light. "Are you sure you want to talk here?" The goblin's eyes widened. Based on his 80 years and 996 years of experience in Gringotts, this charming luster must be gold. The originally indifferent attitude suddenly became enthusiastic. The goblin jumped out from the counter, nodded and bowed, and brought Wayne and McGonagall into the private room. Bang bang bang. Several pieces of gold bars were poured by Wayne on the table. The goblin's breathing became heavy, and even Professor McGonagall's eyes widened. No wonder she thinks Wayne's school bag is a bit heavy, his feelings are full of gold. Unlike Muggle currency, gold is hard currency in the wizarding world. Whether it is used to make galleons or used as a material for various alchemy or magic potions, it is extremely valuable. Isn't Nicholas Flamel famous because the magic stone he refined not only can lead to immortality, but can also turn stone into gold? Wayne also made two preparations. If the pound can be exchanged for galleons without limit, he brought £20,000, which can be exchanged for 4,000 galleons. If that doesn't work, just hit them with gold. After some bargaining, the goblin purchased Wayne's gold bars for 5,000 gold galleons. It was impossible for Wayne to take away all the gold galleons, so he opened a vault in Gringotts and stored all 4,800 galleons. Only 270 galleons just exchanged were left as pocket money. After completing the transaction, the goblin looked a little unhappy. "Mr. Lawrence, you are a natural financier. You may be able to work at Gringotts after graduation." He originally wanted to take advantage of Wayne's ignorance of the market and make a fortune. But the little wizard was very shrewd, and with McGonagall helping out, he made almost no profit from this order. "If I have the chance, I will come." Wayne was also smiling. It's okay to work at Gringotts, but he wants to be the president. It wasn't until he walked out of the gate of Gringotts that Professor McGonagall sighed. "Bringing gold to Gringotts. Mr. Lawrence, you are the first young wizard I have ever met who has done so. It's just a little money at home, it's not worth mentioning," Wayne said modestly. "Not to mention the money gained from system draws. As an authentic aristocrat of old London, the Lawrence family legacy is astronomical. So far, 60% of London's real estate is in the hands of the royal family and nobles, who can receive high rents every year. Although now, newspapers are spreading rumors about the so-called decline of the nobility, in the era of democracy, there are opportunities everywhere. But how can hundreds of years of heritage be so easily surpassed by 10 years of hard work? Oh, except Ding Zhen. He didn't even use Han Chuang. Next, it's time to buy arms, no, wands." Led by McGonagall, the two walked through Diagon Alley and soon arrived at their destination. If Gringotts is the most luxurious building in Diagon Alley, then Ollivander's wand shop is definitely among the bottom 3 shabby shops in Diagon Alley. The dust on the windows has condensed into scale, making it difficult to see what's going on inside the store, and a wooden sign hangs crookedly. "Ollivander started fighting in 382 BC. Seeing the words on it, Wayne curled his lips in disbelief. More than 300 BC, this land was not the territory of the Anglo-Saxons at that time, and even the Roman army had not invaded. The concept of Britain didn't exist at that time, there were Celtic tribes everywhere, and he opened a hammer and wand shop. However, as the only arms dealer in the UK, Ollivander shouldn't need to do this to add depth to himself, right? Seeing Wayne hesitate to move forward, McGonagall thought he was frightened by the Zhan Shangfeng decoration style, so he stepped forward to push open the wooden door, and said comfortingly. Ollivander is just a little more informal. His craft of making wands is definitely a master. Bang! Before McGonagall could finish his words, perhaps because he was slightly distracted by explaining to Wayne, he used a little more force, and the entire door of the wand shop was knocked down. Large tracts of dust were flying, and even several pieces of dirt on the windows were shaken off and fell to the ground and turned into dust. Wayne quickly put his school bag in front of him to avoid being disgraced. "Professor, are you okay?" PFF'd. "Sorry, I didn't mean to do that." When the dust settled a little, Wayne moved away and watched McGonagall's emerald green turn to light gray. He couldn't help but laugh. If you laugh at the professor in front of him, you will get plus 10 points. Rub, dog system. Am I mocking you? Is this sympathy good or not? Wayne cursed in his heart, and McGonagall's face was extremely gloomy. Fortunately, an old voice broke the awkwardness. "Isn't the door posted to open the door more gently? Why are you still?" "Minerva, it's you." An old man with white hair and beard popped his head out from behind the shelf. He scolded him at first, but when he saw that it was Professor McGonagall, a smile immediately appeared on his face. The speed at which he can change his face is unparalleled. "Garrick, your store really needs to be renovated," McGonagall said with a dark face, but Ollivander just laughed it off and changed the subject. "Minerva, you know, seeing you every summer is the happiest time for me. The appearance of you, Phileas, or Pomona means that a wand will meet its master." After saying that, he looked at Wayne with his deep blue pupils. "Little wizard, can you tell me your name?" "Wayne Lawrence." Wayne announced his name and calmly moved away from a shelf. He just saw that one of the legs of this shelf was broken, and he didn't know when it would collapse. "Ah, Mr. Lawrence, it's a rare surname. Are your ancestors Roman or French?" "It's France, maybe, but I've been in England for many years." The Lawrence family is indeed an old-time aristocracy that followed William the Conqueror from Normandy, and the surname Lawrence is more common in French. "It seems your ancestors made the right choice, not even the French dogs will go." While Ollivander was chatting with Wayne, the measuring tape automatically flew to the little wizard. What made Wayne's mouth twitch a little was that the conflict between Britain and France had even spread to the wizarding world, and they would take every opportunity to humiliate him. "It's outrageous. What's your dominant hand?" "Left hand." "Okay, let's try this." After looking at the scale on the ruler, Ollivander disappeared not long before he came back with a large stack of wooden boxes. "Child, you must remember that it is the wand that chooses its master. Only when the wizard and the wand have a wonderful reaction can he unleash all his talents. Let's try it first. Some little wizards are very picky, such as the original Minerva." Professor McGonagall's helpless voice sounded. "Fir wood, 9 inches, with dragon heartstring as the core, suitable for performing transformation techniques." "Garrick, you always talk about it every time you see me. Forgive an old man for having to remember things this way." Ollivander smiled and handed Wayne a wand. With it in hand, Wayne really wanted to come. Then he followed his heart. Boom! A ball of white light erupted from the tip of the wand towards the roof, directly poking a large hole. His ancestral home was destroyed. Not only was Ollivander not angry, but his face was filled with joy. "Amazing, amazing. This wand is not worthy of your future achievements, Mr. Lawrence. Although cedar wood is suitable for smart people, it is too gentle after all. How about giving this a try? Dragon heartstrings and you." The wand in his hand was snatched away, and another one was immediately inserted. This time, a blazing ball of fire came out. Wayne frowned. He didn't like the uncontrolled display of magic power. The next second, the fireball dissipated out of thin air. Bang bang bang. Ollivander was even more happy. "Mr. Lawrence, your talent is really visible to the naked eye. Very few little wizards can control their own magic when they first come into contact with the wand. But I beg you not to do this. Just let nature take its course and find the most suitable wand." Wayne had no choice but to nod, indicating that he would no longer interfere. At this time, even Professor McGonagall showed a smile. It seems that Hogwarts has welcomed another little genius, and it would be great if he could be assigned to a Gryffindor. You know, Slytherin has won 6 consecutive Academy Cups, which has made her worried for a long time. The boxes on the table were opened one by one, and Wayne also tried various matching wands. From fir to walnut, from dragon heartstrings to thestral feathers. Ollivander has completely entered the state and keeps mumbling words. He enjoys such picky customers. The more picky you are, the more it proves that the wizard is unusual. In the wizarding world, following the herd can only make you lose everyone. Only wizards with distinctive characteristics and personalities can reach the top. By the time Wayne is successful and famous, he will still have dignity when it comes to bringing up the wand. His grandfather had lied about selling the wand to Dumbledore for decades, and had successfully suppressed the other 2 wand-making families. Ollivander also wants to have such a day. By then, the 3 major wand-making families will no longer exist. When people mention wands, people will only think of Ollivander. This trial took half an hour and nearly 100 wands. Wayne was very calm. What's wrong with the special point of the time traveler? Isn't it just trying a few more wands? Then, let's try this. Ollivander took out another box. Handwood, unicorn feather, 11½ inches. Wayne took the wand indifferently, and the next second, a feeling of happiness came over him. After trying hundreds of wands, Wayne can be considered an experienced driver who has just started on the road. If they are not matched, his magic will be very repulsive and the magic he uses will be very violent. If you feel normal, or don't feel anything at all, you will spray some water and explode 2 fireworks. If some are suitable, the magic used is mostly transformation. But there has never been a magic wand like this one. When you hold it in your hand, you feel as if you are in harmony with each other. Just like finding the most beautiful princess in KTV, I can't wait to show off my heroic appearance. Wayne subconsciously raised his wand. Silver-white mist filled the air, floating in the air and gradually condensing into shape. After the initial confusion, Professor McGonagall immediately realized something and made a rare gaffe. Impossible. Ollivander's lips were trembling. The Patronus charm turns out to be the Patronus charm. Not to mention, the Patronus charm is an extremely advanced black magic defense spell that even many adult wizards cannot master. But which little wizard would spontaneously cast the Patronus charm after getting the wand? The silver-white Patronus finally condensed into shape. Both McGonagall and Ollivander stared closely at it, and finally their eyes became dull. Is this an egg? Wayne was also deeply speechless. What a mess. Whose patron saint would be an egg? Could it be that he would throw the egg out and kill the Dementors in the future? Hatch it for me quickly. Wayne's heart moved and he hatched. Could it have something to do with the Pokémon eggs that are hatching at home? The wand lowered slightly, the Patronus also dissipated, and Ollivander and McGonagall finally recovered from the shock. Perfect performance, Mr. Lawrence. Ollivander took a deep breath. This scene will be permanently recorded in the history of the Ollivander family. Legend has it that the Suchuan tree was the tree used by Hercules to honor his father, the god King Zeus. It was also called the holy tree in ancient Greece. And unicorn feathers are also the purest material. They are very loyal and stable to their owners. I believe that you will definitely have great attainments in defense against the dark arts in the future, and maybe you will become the next Dumbledore. Wayne laughed and joked. You wouldn't say that to every little wizard, would you? Ollivander smiled and said nothing. He does say nice things when selling magic wands, but that's for the sake of KPI, and there are countless things he can do. But this time, he was really sincere in it. After paying 7 galleons for the wand and spending another 15 galleons to purchase a complete set of advanced wand care tools, the 2 of them left Ollivander's store. It's so cruel. Now he knew why such an important weapon as the wand was so cheap at 7 galleons. On the one hand, this is because the Ministry of Magic will subsidize every little wizard's first wand, and Ollivander will reimburse them for the shortfall. On the other hand, after-sales service is just like the Four Sons store in the Muggle world, where the money is made. It's too late to be happy about getting the wand for too long. Since too much time was wasted just now, you must hurry up next. Bookstore, clothing store, crucible store, astronomy store. After shopping around, Wayne finally bought everything he needed for Hogwarts, and also bought a lot of books that interested him. Fortunately, Flourish and Blott's bookstore and other stores offer owl delivery services, and the courier fee is only 3 silver cents. Wayne had to lament how cost-effective the prices in the wizarding world are. 3 silver coins, this is no different from free shipping. The only pity is that because Professor McGonagall is accompanying him, it is inconvenient for Wayne to buy many interesting gadgets, such as itching powder, prank eggs and other prank props. Before leaving, McGonagall asked Wayne again if he needed to buy a pet. First graders are allowed to bring owls, toads, and rats as pets. Wayne has little interest in any of these 3 creatures. Even the cutest Scottish round-faced chubby chicken doesn't feel like he has much need. Owls are usually used to deliver letters, and he doesn't have many magical friends to contact right now. If you need an owl in the future, you can borrow it directly from your classmates, or you can use the school one. Mr. Lawrence, my mission has been completed. The next time we meet is when school starts. After using disapparition to send Wayne home again, Professor McGonagall was also preparing to leave. She was going to visit a little wizard's home in the afternoon. Before leaving, McGonagall added, although the Ministry of Magic does not allow young wizards to cast spells outside of school, there are exceptions to everything. McGonagall said meaningfully, in the next month, you can try to preview your homework and learn some less dangerous spells. If you don't understand anything, you can go to Diagon Alley and send me a message with an owl. After experiencing the shock at Ollivander's store, McGonagall is now very optimistic about Wayne's talent and is willing to give him as much help as he can. After hearing his words, Wayne's eyes also lit up. Wouldn't that bother you, Professor? Although he is now full of talents and has cheats, learning magic is not something that can be accomplished overnight. Realizing talents also requires a lot of knowledge accumulation and practice. With the help of a master like McGonagall, Wayne can avoid many detours. Of course not. I'm happy to answer questions for the studious little wizard. After saying that, McGonagall waved his hand again and started to disapparate away. After Wayne watched him off, he turned around and walked back to his home. Although I appreciate McGonagall's enthusiasm, Gryffindor. That's not the college Wayne wanted to go to. At noon, Wayne had a simple lunch and fell asleep on the bed instead of continuing to study magic. After a whole night of excitement and walking around for a long time in the morning, he was already a little sleepy. I had a particularly sweet sleep. When I woke up, the clock on the wall read past 5 o'clock. There was some noise coming from downstairs. Wayne was curious and walked out of the bedroom in his pajamas. The 2 servants and a chef in his family were all hired with high salaries and were very well educated. There had never been such a big fuss. Master Wayne. Seeing Wayne coming downstairs, a servant hurriedly came up to him with a look of surprise on his face. What's wrong, Linda? Suddenly, several owls flew in just now, threw these things in the living room, and then flew away for a while. Linda was still a little shocked when she said it. Owls are originally nocturnal creatures and are rarely seen during the day, let alone these things. On the carpet in the living room, several large packages were placed there without being opened. Wayne knew that these were the things he bought in the morning from the store in Diagon Alley. As for why those owls took a while to fly away, usually when something is delivered, the recipient has to prepare some food to replenish the owl's strength. This was Wayne's first time, and he apparently forgot about it. But he glanced at Linda, another servant Elena, and the chef Bruce. From now on, they will have to study magic at home, which will definitely cause a lot of noise, and leaving them at home will be a bit inconvenient. It was even more so when I went to school at Hogwarts. I didn't spend as much time at home as at school every year. He was considering whether to fire a few people. It can't be called dismissal. The Lawrence family has many properties. If they are willing, Wayne will provide them with a position with the same salary or a higher salary. Okay, maybe it's the latest technology. I bought all these things. Wayne found an excuse to fool him. Linda, Elena, put your things in the study. Bruce, what's for dinner? How about the steak, Master Wayne? Let's add another grilled ribs. Yes. After dinner, Wayne came to the study and started unpacking the packages. Putting aside the temporarily useless things, he placed several first-grade textbooks on the table, holding Standard Spells, Elementary, in his hand and started reading. Charms are the basis of everything. Strictly speaking, transfiguration, defense against the dark arts, and even dark arts are all spells. As long as you learn magic spells well, it will actually be of great help to other subjects. With a casual wave, the cup on the table broke. Wayne took out his wand, followed the instructions in the book, concentrated, raised his wrist slightly, then pressed it down, and chanted in a fixed rhythm. Recover as before. As if going back in time, all the fragments flew back to their original positions, and the cracks disappeared. It's quite simple, Wayne said to himself. He didn't even look at it. His spell talent had already reached SS. There weren't many people higher than him in history. It was still very difficult to learn a repair spell. Then just let other wizards be squibs. At the same time, Wayne also discovered that he was holding a wand and casting spells according to the guidance in the book. His spirit and thoughts were easily concentrated, and there was no ambiguity that required force to activate the spell. No wonder they lost their wands, most wizards were no different from squibs. For the next hour, Wayne read and practiced, and quickly learned several basic spells. Illuminating spell, clearing spell, levitating spell, unlocking spell. Not only did he learn it, he could simplify some of the steps. For example, the rhythm of the levitating spell is very important. If there is an error in the pause, the spell casting will fail or be incomplete. What is incomplete? For example, you want the pen to float 1 meter high, but it only floats half a meter, and the direction of movement is uncontrollable. It's all introduced in these books. But Wayne only needs to pronounce it clearly and completely, and can use some casual gestures to successfully cast the spell. 2 words to describe it is so scary. System, are there levels for spell proficiency? Wayne suddenly asked in his mind. Magic proficiency levels are divided into beginner, intermediate, advanced and master levels. The host can improve the proficiency level through practice and perception, or draw the corresponding magic spell in the card draw to stack the proficiency. Is there a dashboard for my spell proficiency? A screen of light appeared in front of Wayne's eyes. He glanced at it and saw that the few spells he had just learned had already reached the intermediate stage. It made Wayne feel a lot better. The biggest benefit of the panel is that it allows him to have a clear understanding of his own status and see his progress after hard work. Sometimes it's not that people are unwilling to work hard, but that their efforts don't yield results. Without continuous positive feedback, you will naturally not be able to persist for long. Wayne is full of energy now. In just one night, he learned all the spells he needed to master in first grade, and they were all at the intermediate level. Wayne didn't go out for the next few days. Apart from going downstairs to eat every day, he spent the rest of the time in his bedroom and studying magic. With his powerful magic talent and the Memory Palace's photographic learning ability, Wayne's progress was so fast. Not only the content of the first grade, he learned all the standard spells, level 3, and the previous content in one go, and mastered a large number of commonly used magic. If Professor McGonagall knew his progress, he would be so surprised that he would lose his hair. I have studied to the 3rd grade on my own in just a few days. After the 1st grade is over, can I take the NETW's exam directly with the 7th grade students? Time flies and it's August. The weather in London has become hotter, and the annoying chirping of cicadas has made people's tempers worse, but this cannot affect Wayne, who has cast a soundproofing spell on the room. Snapped. Closing the Dark Demon Power Self-Defense Guide, Wayne stretched. He walked to the window and opened the curtains. The dazzling sunlight shone in, causing him to squint his eyes unconsciously. I'm tired of reading, why not go shopping in Diagon Alley again? Last time, because Professor McGonagall was with him, it was inconvenient for him to buy many things. This time I can go on a shopping spree. Let's talk about the issue of talent rating. The author's setting is also based on the ranking of some famous wizards on the official website. For example, I rank the 3 Death Brothers at the SSS level, which must be a bit lax. But this is not a purely mathematical problem. Comprehensive evaluation is a rough concept, and the most important criterion is combat effectiveness. Therefore, defense against dark arts, spells, and magic power account for a large proportion. It's understandable that everyone has objections. I'll try to be more reasonable and at least be able to give my own reasons without making everyone feel uncomfortable. After taking a taxi, Wayne came to the Leaky Cauldron again. Tom, the bar owner, was naturally impressed by such a cute little wizard. He also gave Wayne a free glass of butterbeer for him to drink before leaving. My butterbeer is just a sweet drink, non-alcoholic. Tom was afraid that Wayne would misunderstand that it was real wine, so he explained to him, but when it comes to butterbeer, it has to be the best from 3 Broomsticks. Mrs. Rosmerta's craftsmanship is excellent. Every time I go to Hogsmeade, I order 2 glasses of wine. What's even better is that her husband is dead. Seeing the intoxicated expression on Tom's face, Wayne fell into deep speechlessness. After drinking a glass of butterbeer, Wayne stopped listening to Tom talk about widows and came to the patio. A smile formed on the corner of his mouth. Here we go, bro. Professor McGonagall said that the trash can has been cast a permanent sticking spell and cannot be moved. At his current level, he cannot use a decent solution to the spell. But that doesn't mean Wayne can't do something for the wizarding world. He took out his wand and pointed it at the wall. Repaired as good as new. The stone bricks that were about to be plated with grout by the wizards soon became brand new. Wayne frowned again. No, it's too new. You can recognize it at a glance. Restore it as before, repair it as before, sweep it away in a whirlwind. After a lot of work, Wayne has done good things. The entire wall became extremely clean, as if it had just been laid, and it was impossible to tell which brick was the correct entrance. He was also afraid that 1 trash can would not be enough for the Leaky Cauldron. After all, people came and went every day, and the business of the Leaky Cauldron was very good. It's just a trash can. How many times a day does Uncle Tom have to take out the trash? Copy into pairs. After a few copying spells were cast, the front was filled with identical trash cans. Wayne nodded with satisfaction. He's not too proficient in the copying spell yet, so these trash cans can last up to a month. But that's enough. School will start in a month, and there won't be that many little wizards coming. After doing such a great deed, he didn't tell Uncle Tom, who made him accustomed to hiding his merit and fame. Stepping forward to enter Diagon Alley, Wayne suddenly froze. Which brick is it from? After spending a long time, Wayne finally entered Diagon Alley smoothly, with a slightly depressed look on his face. Unlucky, I didn't expect to get into trouble first. Walking on the cobblestone road, Wayne cursed. This time, he didn't think carefully and had too much fun, which almost caused a joke. Compared with when I came a few days ago, Diagon Alley has become more lively, and many people are crowded in front of a shop. Wayne also leaned over. It turned out to be a Quidditch boutique, with 3 broomsticks placed in the most conspicuous window display, and a large poster next to it. The new Nimbus 2000 flying broomstick is grandly launched. It adopts the most advanced acceleration charm, braking charm, and hip-hugging seat, allowing your broom to fly freely in the sky like an arm. There is a wizard next to him who is looking at the parameters of the broom and making comments. The acceleration is 5% faster, the deceleration and shock absorption effect is increased by 5%, and the top speed is increased by 5%. This improvement is too small, it's like squeezing out toothpaste. A wizard in a purple cloak sighed, who let the sweep series fail to live up to expectations. Comet Company has not released a new product in 10 years, and Nimbus is the only one. Even if the improvement is small, it is still a level better than other brooms. Wayne listened for a while and walked into the Quidditch boutique. There are many people watching the excitement outside, but few people actually have the intention to buy. The status of broomsticks in the wizarding world is similar to that of family cars. Because of the existence of flow powder and apparition, many wizards just have one that can fly. It doesn't matter if they are faster or slower. Except for the group of Quidditch players or rich people, not many people would change their brooms for this improvement. Wayne also saw the price on the nameplate. 500 galleons. In his opinion, this price is not too expensive, but wages in the wizarding world are generally not high, with dozens of galleons a month being the norm, and Mr. Weasley only earns 70 or 80 galleons a month. The price of 2,000 for the Nimbus is already considered expensive. Although Wayne could easily buy it, he still took a second look and left. After taking flying lessons in school, if you think it's good, it's not too late to buy it. After leaving the Quidditch boutique, Wayne came to the Tuofen clothing store not far away. Last time he came here, he only bought the 3 plain robes required by the school. The pure black robe looked no different from a walking giant bat when worn on his body. In order not to clash with Snape, Wayne still had to buy a few more sets of supercars in other styles. Welcome, do you need anything? The owner of Tuofin clothing store is a lady in her 40s who is well maintained and still has charm. She smiled tenderly when she saw Wayne coming in. Hello madam, I need some robes suitable for school. Wayne said politely. Very few little wizards come to buy clothes from me, come here. The landlady found it interesting and hooked her hands with Wayne, and the two of them entered the small room. Half an hour later. 85 galleons for Chenge, 12 sickles, little guy, you can just give me 80 galleons. The landlady smiled broadly, obviously satisfied. There were 3 robes in total, and Wayne cost Mr. Weasley more than a month's salary. It was indeed a luxury store in the wizarding world. The money was not wasted. All 3 pieces of clothing were fixed with dust removal charms, waterproof charms, and fire protection charms, which saved a lot of trouble. After giving the proprietress his home address, Wayne clutched his wallet next to his kidney and left. The money was really wasted. Counting the last consumption, more than half of the 200 galleons were gone in the blink of an eye. Wayne could only go to Gringotts and take out another 500 galleons before starting to scan the goods. At the changing ink stationery store, he bought 3 quills made of devil bird feathers. They were nothing special, just pink and tender, and they looked nice. Slugjig's pharmacy bought a lot of processed potion materials. Hogwarts has great benefits, and the school provides materials for potions classes. But Wayne had to buy it himself when making and practicing in private. He couldn't be like Potter, who just went to Snape's office when he was missing something. In other words, if Harry Potter could succeed, if it were someone else, you could see how Snape would torture you. The Jumping Magic Joke Shop is a shop specializing in prank props and gadgets, similar to Zuko's joke shop in Hogsmeade. Wayne bought 2 copies of each product, one to play with and one for research. Although I only bought 2 of each item, I couldn't stand the large quantity, and the clerk's face almost burst into laughter. Is this a young master from a pure-blood family who is out shopping for goods? He spends dozens of galleons to buy prank props, and he can get a lot of commission. After the shopping spree, Wayne sat under the umbrella of Florin's cold drink shop and ate ice cream. At the same time, points began to appear in my mind one after another. Successfully prevented a wizard from entering Diagon Alley, points +5. Successfully interfered with a wizard entering Diagon Alley, points +1. Successfully prevented a wizard from entering Diagon Alley, points +5. Wayne smiled. Although the amount of points is very small, it is unsustainable. In just a short time, his points have reached 80. System points can be used for lottery draws, 100 points per draw. The quality of the lottery is divided into white, blue, purple and gold, and 100 golds will be drawn. In the years since he obtained the system, Wayne has only received 1 golden award, which gave him 15% of the original non-dilutable shares of Microsoft. I don't know if there is any reservation to this guarantee. He has smoked more than 130 times now, and he can get the golden reward again if he does it 70 times at most. System, give me a message. Ding. The card drawing mechanism is not affected by upgrades, and the host will definitely receive a golden reward within 64 draws. That's pretty much it. Wayne happily ate the last bite of ice cream. Seeing that the points had jumped to 100, I drew them casually. Unexpectedly, it turned out to be purple. The probability of getting purple is only 10%, so this wave is a small one. Congratulations to the host for obtaining the talent, Magical Animal Affinity. Wayne raised his eyebrows. It looks good. Magical animals are an important part of the magical world. If used well, even the Dark Lord will be defeated. Are you right, Laugay? After paying the bill, Wayne got up and walked to the Fantastic Beasts shop on the south side of Diagon Alley, eager to try his talent. Meanwhile, the Leaky Cauldron. No, who is this? Old Tom stood in front of the brick wall and shouted to the sky. Behind him stood several wizards, all with angry faces. It's so wicked. That's right. I searched for a long time and couldn't find the brick. Stop talking, I've found the right place, but I'm not sure if it's the right one. I just don't dare to click. If I make a mistake and call the batter, I'll be fined. Facing the brand new walls and the rows of identical trash cans, a group of wizards were itching their teeth with anger. This is so wicked. Old Tom blushed and moved the duplicate trash cans away one by one, leaving only the original one. Looking at the wall, his anger disappeared a lot. Don't tell me, this repaired wall looks more comfortable than the previous dilapidated wall. He used the magic wand to turn the original brick red, and Old Tom didn't care about the other bricks, just like that. Who did it? Who else could it be? It must be those naughty little wizards. Did you see anyone come in just now? A group of wizards wanted to find the culprit, and Old Tom also fell into deep thought. Wayne's figure subconsciously appeared in his mind. Problems arose not long after this little wizard left. Logically speaking, he is the most suspect. But Tom himself soon ruled out this answer. The reason is simple. The young wizards who could be accompanied by Professor McGonagall must have come from Muggle families and had never been exposed to magic before. How could it be possible to learn such exquisite repair and copy spells in just a few days? He looked at all those trash cans, they should last at least a month. Impossible, absolutely impossible. Wayne seems to be a very well-behaved kid, not the kind of naughty kid. Suddenly, someone said something. I was just drinking when I saw the Weasley twins coming. The scene became quiet for a moment, and then became excited. That's right. It must be them. They moved the trash can to the other side last time and made me poke the wrong brick like a fool. That's so bad. Weasley and Jasmine must discipline them. A few people just said something to each other, and directly put the blame on a certain pair of twins who didn't know anything about it. Even Old Tom believed it, because he did see the twins coming. Although it happened a long time ago, not many wizards entered Diagon Alley through them. Maybe these wizards have memorized the location and don't need to locate the trash can. Old Tom became more and more angry as he thought about it. He ran directly to the counter, took out a stack of parchment and started writing a letter. He wants to complain to Jasmine. Wait until the twins sneak out for a day and return home through the fireplace in Diagon Alley. They immediately received a loving education from their mother. The two of them were confused, and after understanding the situation, they even complained that they were wronged. They really didn't do any pranks today, they just went out for a walk to see if there were any new products in the prank shop. It wasn't them. Unfortunately, based on the twins' past behavior, Jasmine didn't believe their lies. After eating a meal of stir-fried pork slices with bamboo shoots, she threw the two of them back into her own room and put them in solitary confinement. The twins looked at each other, their teeth itching with hatred. They have always tricked others, why are there still people tricking them today? However, these are all things for later. At this moment, the culprit, Mr. Wayne Lawrence, has arrived at the Fantastic Beasts shop and is enjoying being surrounded by the critters. As soon as he entered, he immediately attracted the attention of all the magical animals. Several sleeping owls flew over and started fighting over who could stand on his shoulders. The group of cats who were indifferent to humans also walked over gracefully, squinting their eyes and rubbing Wayne's trouser legs. Wayne reached out and picked up a short-haired cat and began to pet it. The clerks were stunned. This cat is the most aloof one in the store. Usually, customers see how cute it is and want to buy it. But the cat didn't even bother to talk to him, so he had no choice but to give up in the end. Why are you so cooperative today and showing your belly with a look of enjoyment? The clerk looked at Wayne. What kind of little wizard is this? He's just a vila that ran out of nowhere. After staying in the pet shop for a while, Wayne also realized the power of the gift of affinity with magical animals. No matter how difficult the Sunere monster is, it will surround him obediently and can be tamed with a little contact. Not only that, he can also roughly feel the emotions of these animals and the meaning of their calls. Even the magical animals here are used as pets for wizards and have been domesticated. But Wayne believes that this talent can still have good effects even when encountering wild or more dangerous magical animals. Uncle Newt probably has a similar talent, otherwise how could he be running around with a box of dangerous goods? Wayne thought to himself, if he wanted, he could take a zoo with him in the future like Newt. But he won't do that. Those magical creatures don't have a fuel-efficient lamp, and even a seemingly harmless sniffer can cause big trouble. Newt spends his life either working as a tool for Dumbledore or wiping the butts of these magical creatures. It has been listed as prohibited entry by the Ministry of Magic of dozens of countries. Even in the United States, where he now lives, the Magical Congress there would be very nervous, if not for the fact that Newt had saved the Magical Society of the United States and helped them capture Grindelwald. They really don't want this walking natural disaster to settle here. Wayne doesn't want to end up like Newt, who hates people and hates dogs. Under the reluctant gazes of a group of pets, Wayne picked up his pants and turned away without mercy. Even the store clerk was confused. No, if you don't buy pets or pet supplies, what are you doing here? After leaving the pet store, unaware that he was almost blacklisted, Wayne went to Flourish and Blott's bookstore. At the door of the bookstore, a large poster was posted on a tripod. The greasy middle-aged wizard on the poster kept ogling, causing many passing witches to stop and watch. It was very magical. Seeing Wayne sizing him up, he immediately put on a standard business smile with 8 shining teeth. But in fact, Wayne was really looking at the lines above his head. Mr. Lockhart, a 4-time winner of the Wizard Weekly Most Charming Smile Award, a 3rd-level Order of Merlin, and an honorary member of the Dark Arts Alliance, has now released his latest book, Walking with Trolls. Wayne mused. This big liar in the wizarding world is now very prosperous and has published 5 or 6 books. I don't know why he can't think about it next year and insists on going to Hogwarts to teach him. Do you really think that the things recorded in these books were done by him? But when Wayne saw the price of the book, Walking with Trolls, in the store, he suddenly realized something. 7 galleons. He bought 3 standard spell books for less than 5 galleons. The price was simply a money grab. Did this guy agree to be a defense against the dark arts professor just to sell books? A set of 30 or 40 galleons, a few hundred for Hogwarts, and nearly 1,000 for students, that's tens of thousands of galleons. It's a huge sum of money. After flipping through it twice, Wayne decided to buy all of Lockhart's books. Apart from the flashy rhetoric, the above content is also full of practical information. After all, these are adaptations of real cases. People in the wizarding world are not fools. If it was all fabricated, Lockhart would have been exposed long ago. After asking the store clerk to wrap up all Lockhart's books, Wayne started shopping for other books. He is now very interested in all things in the magical world. Learning spells is one aspect, but more importantly, he needs to understand how wizards live in some unique cultures. This can better help him integrate into wizarding society instead of being a magical muggle. As for the Dark Lord, to be honest, it wasn't that Wayne looked down on Voldemort and fought for half his life, but in the end he couldn't even win a school and was fooled around by words. It's really hard for him to get interested. If Grindelwald came out to start trouble again, it would be okay, at least he has a big picture. Defense against the dark arts, buy it. Encounter with the faceless monster, buy it. Complete set of standard spells, buy it. In one breath, Wayne bought all the textbooks for the next few years, even Uncle Newt's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The world's most famous Magical Beasts book sells for just 1 galleon, which is a steal compared to Lockhart's book. Seeing Wayne buying books so crazily, even the manager of Flourish and Blott's couldn't stand it anymore. Little guy, you must be a freshman who has just entered school. These books will not be used by freshmen at all. It is not too late to buy them when you need them. Oh. Wayne first put a copy of Advanced Potion Making into the cart, raised his head and said with a smile, I have nothing to do during the holidays. Just read it as extracurricular reading. It'll be fine. Seeing that he was so persistent, the manager stopped trying to persuade him. Wayne picked up another book casually. The Life and Lies of Albus Dumbledore. Hiss, is it so exciting? After seeing the author's name, Wayne was not surprised. There was nothing Rita Skeeter didn't dare write. The cart was already filled with books, and Wayne finally stopped. Just as I was about to check out, I caught a glimpse of the thickest book, placed in an inconspicuous corner, which was 5 inches thick. Taking a closer look, it turned out to be Hogwarts, a school history. Wayne was overjoyed. He had just wanted to buy the miscellany secretary that appeared in the original book, but he couldn't find it. The clerk also said it was out of stock, but there was actually another copy in the corner. Squatting down, Wayne forcefully pulled out the thick book. Although it looked a little dirty, the book was brand new. He doesn't mind it either, as long as he can read the book. Ouch! Two cries of pain sounded at the same time. Just as he was about to get up to check out, Wayne felt his head hurt and bumped into something hard. Rubbing his head and taking a step back, he finally saw what he had hit. It's a little girl. Her furry head and thick brown hair were fluffy and looked a bit messy. At this time, she was covering her chin in pain and stuck her front teeth. Wayne was happy instead. With such obvious characteristics, who else could it be but the legendary Miss Know-It-All? Dare you laugh? Hermione's voice was a little slurred when Wayne bumped her chin and she bit her tongue. Tears of pain are almost flowing out now. This kid. Wayne looked at the angry Hermione, and the smile on his face became stronger. I haven't held you accountable yet, but you are the first to complain, right? Then let's discuss whose problem it is. Wayne put Hogwarts, a school history, in his trolley. He turned back to look at the little lowly. Just now I was squatting on the ground looking for a book, and I didn't move. I just stood up straight and there was no way I could bump into anyone. Unless you stand next to me on purpose and stick your head over, I can knock your chin. Tisk, tisk. Wayne looked at Hermione, whose face was already red, suspiciously. You're not here for porcelain, are you? Punchy. What do you mean? There was confusion in her big brown eyes. The little girl had never heard of this word. It's blackmail, extortion, and intentional injury to get compensation. Wayne explained briefly. Hermione was immediately furious. Nonsense. I'm not that kind of person. I just saw this book, but I didn't expect you to beat me to it. Then why are you standing so close? Wayne asked suspiciously. Hermione acted matter-of-factly. This book is a little dirty. If you put it back, it means you don't want it. Of course I have to watch it carefully. So that's it. Wayne nodded understandingly. He took the book in his hand again and waved it in front of Hermione. Do you want it? Hermione nodded excitedly and looked at Wayne expectantly. She thought Wayne was going to give the book to her, and her eyes on the boy softened a lot. The impression score instantly increased a lot. Wayne smiled and pointed at his face. Do I look good? Hermione nodded subconsciously. It was too early for an 11-year-old boy to describe him as handsome. For a child of this age, cute and beautiful were the most appropriate words. Wayne was the most beautiful child Hermione had ever seen, with even more delicate features than girls. Then you think you are good-looking and I am good-looking. Hermione was a little embarrassed. However, for the sake of this school history, she still chose to tell the truth. You look good. Well, I'm very happy with the compliment. Wayne's smile faded, he turned around and pushed the cart away. For the sake of telling the truth, I have a message for you. The next batch of Hogwarts, a school history, will be released before the start of school. Deliver it and you can buy it when the time comes. Hermione was dumbfounded and quickly caught up with Wayne when she saw him walking some distance away. You won't give me the book. Why should I give it to you? What I grabbed is mine. Then you still ask me these questions. Can't we do a social survey? Hermione was furious, and then realized that she had been tricked, and watched Wayne pay the bill. A History of Modern Magic, The Rise and Fall of Dark Magic, Breaking with the Ghost. These are the books she wants. Hermione's eyes were a little red because of the restrictions on Muggle currency exchange, even though she had reduced her allowance for one semester to 5 galleons. It is far from enough to spend all the remaining money on buying books. She really wanted to be like this little boy and buy whatever books she wanted. Feeling the eyes staring at him from behind, Wayne secretly chuckled in his heart. He just teased Hermione on purpose. Suddenly, Wayne had an idea in his mind. Ask the cashier to send all the other books home by owl, leaving only the 2 books, Hogwarts, A History of the School, and Identification and Cultivation of Hundreds of Herbs. Looked at Hermione again. Want to see it? Can I lend it to you? Due to the experience of being tricked just now, Hermione looked at Wayne warily and said nothing. Wayne didn't care and said to himself, it's definitely not possible to borrow it for free. But if someone is willing to pay some rent, I can consider it. Hearing this, Hermione was indeed moved. How much? A sickle, an hour. Hermione frowned. It's too expensive. I think I'll have to pay you a day. 1 galleons, 7 sickles. Who wants to lend it to you for a day? Wayne took out a pocket watch and checked the time, and then said, I'm going to have afternoon tea at Florin Dessert Shop in the afternoon and read a book for a while. I'll stay for 2 hours at most. After much hesitation, Hermione nodded. Make a deal. On the way to the dessert shop, the two of them also introduced their names. The little witch met a Hogwarts freshman of the same age for the first time, and her mouth was full of talk all the way. Wayne is just OHYES, and OH shit doesn't look boring when he's dealing with it like this. Lawrence, you spent dozens of galleons on buying so many books at once. Hermione suddenly said with envy. You must be born in a wizard family, right? Can you tell me what the life of a wizard is like? Being able to come to Hogwarts to learn magic was definitely a big surprise mixed with trepidation for Hermione. Being extremely competitive, she was afraid that she would not be able to adapt to Hogwarts, and that she would be far behind the children who had grown up in wizarding families. Wayne shook his head. I was not born into a wizarding family. Impossible. Hermione immediately retorted. Excluding the necessities purchased, even if you exchange for 70 galleons, the remaining money cannot exceed 30 galleons. How can I buy so many books at once? I saw you just paid the bill, a full 120 galleons. Wayne was very calm. There is a limit on pounds, but there is no limit on gold. I exchanged all this money for gold. What? Hermione's eyes widened. Gold for galleons, this is too extravagant, isn't it? Your parents actually agreed to it. Wayne continued calmly. My parents died long ago and I am an orphan. Hermione. She found that she had never been as emotionally disconnected as she was today. At Florin Dessert Shop, the two found a table with a parasol. Wayne ordered 2 ice creams, one for himself and one for Hermione. This is a bonus service. I will go home at 5 o'clock at most. Hermione took out her purse, took out 2 sickles and handed them to Wayne. Ever since she learned that Wayne was an orphan, Hermione's attitude had become very soft. Until just now, she was still trying to persuade Wayne not to spend money recklessly. It would still be several years before he could earn his own living expenses as an adult. Wayne just smiled and nodded without retorting. Hermione was no different from what he remembered. She spoke with a domineering tone and kept talking about studying and books. However, the kindness inside has never been concealed. It is not unreasonable for the Sorting Hat to sort her into Gryffindor. After receiving Hogwarts, a school history, Hermione couldn't wait to read it. This was rented for an hour by Shike. The little witch cherished it very much and concentrated on it. After Wayne took over Sickle, the system beeped suddenly. It is detected that the host has successfully earned the living expenses of the little wizard, and a large-scale long-term mission has been launched. Empty their wallets. Mission description: is there any money in the world more valuable than a child's pocket money? Empty their wallets. Every galleons earned can be exchanged for system points. The exchange ratio is 1 galleons for 5 points. This mission is valid while the host is studying at Hogwarts and will disappear upon graduation or withdrawal. Wayne. System: be a human being. How can I exchange 1 gallon for 5? No, little wizards only have a few pocket money a year, and normal students only have a dozen. Slytherin purebloods may have more, but there are many little wizards like Ronald who only have 1 or 2 little wizards a year. With just such a small amount of money, you still keep an eye on their wallets. What a different thing. Wayne looked up to the sky and sighed. Hermione raised her head in confusion. What's wrong with you? Nothing, I just thought of something. By the way, how much pocket money do you have? Hermione didn't think much and answered immediately. Except for buying books, I only have 5 galleons this school year. Only 25 points. Wayne looked at the little witch with disgust, which made her confused, and she hummed softly and continued reading. Although I despise this task of the system, the points are still very good. He can quickly become stronger as he accumulates points. As he becomes stronger, if Voldemort's minions come to Hogwarts, he can protect other young wizards. What is this if not a win-win? No, he wasn't trying to steal those little wizards' money. The system made it very clear that points must be earned before they can be redeemed. Therefore, it can only be obtained through normal trading channels. After this calculation, the little wizards won twice, and he lost. The more Wayne thought about it, the angrier he became, silently thinking about what kind of thing would allow him to strip away the little wizard's wallet as much as possible. A profiteer who will make the little wizard change his mind when he hears about it, and the profiteer he loves and hates is rising. Time flies. The sun slowly set in the west, and more than 2 hours passed quickly. Wayne knocked on the table lightly, waking up Hermione, who was still looking at it, and said softly, "It's time for me to go home." "Huh, oh." Hermione reluctantly closed the book and returned it to Wayne. "When are you coming to Diagon Alley again?" Hermione asked. "What about you?" Wayne looked at her. "I have been practicing my spells at home in the morning recently, and in the afternoon I go to Flourish and Blott's bookstore to read." Hermione planned to read all the books introducing the Wizarding World and Hogwarts before school started, so as to learn as much as possible. "Then take this book first." Wayne waved his hand. "But I don't have that much money." "No need to give me money, I'll lend it to you for a week. I'll come to Diagon Alley then, and you just need to pay me back." This can be regarded as the little witch's reward for activating a system task for him. Hermione was extremely surprised and took the book into her arms, promising that she would return it to him in a week. To this end, Hermione also left her home phone number with Wayne and took his phone number for easy contact in the future. Hogwarts. This morning, Professor McGonagall finally completed the task of instructing the last young wizard from a pure Muggle family and returned to school. Dumbledore happened to be at school, so she came to the principal's office on the 8th floor to report the situation. After listening to McGonagall with a smile, Dumbledore's soft gaze fell on McGonagall through his half-moon glasses. "Minerva, thank you for your hard work. If I hadn't sent Snape out, it would have been a lot easier for you." McGonagall's expression remained serious. "It's all for school. It's not hard work. In terms of hard work, Albus, you are the one who works the hardest." "Ha ha." The old man smiled and said, "I feel ashamed for saying this." McGonagall did not answer, but asked the question that concerned him, "How is the situation at Potter?" "Hagrid didn't mess things up. I believe in Hagrid, just as I believe in you." Dumbledore said, "Although there is a little hiccup, you will see the child on September 1st. Dumbledore briefly told what Hagrid saw and heard at the Dursleys, and McGonagall became visibly angry. "How could they do this?" Professor McGonagall said angrily. "Relax, McGonagall, Muggles tend to have some prejudices against wizards. In fact, there is not much difference between the two, at least not how they raised that child." The anger on McGonagall's face still hadn't dissipated, but her good qualities prevented her from saying anything too outrageous. Dumbledore comforted. "Okay Minerva, if nothing happens, you can go back and rest, enjoy the vacation that is less than a month away, and then you have to face those energetic little guys." "Sorry, I do have one more thing, I almost forgot." McGonagall held his forehead. "I met a very talented little wizard, Wayne Lawrence. He spent almost an hour choosing a wand, and in the end he spontaneously used the Patronus charm." "Oh." Dumbledore's eyes lit up and he sat up slightly. "Impossible." The portraits of the previous principals on the wall no longer pretended to be asleep, and a mean-looking wizard even screamed. "McGonagall, I've read so many books and you can't fool me. How is it possible that a little wizard who is new to wands can use a Patronus?" "Be patient, Phineas." Dumbledore motioned for him to be quiet, and then asked, "Can you tell me the specific situation in detail?" McGonagall described what happened that day in great detail, especially the part about selecting the wand. Dumbledore gradually had a general impression of the young wizard named Wayne Lawrence. Both parents are dead, but he was born into a noble family. There is also a high-ranking Muggle uncle in the family. He didn't follow the rules when doing things, and even took gold to Gringotts to exchange for gold galleons for the first time. Most importantly, talent is visible to the naked eye. When you come into contact with the wand that suits you best, you can instinctively cast the Patronus charm. Even with Dumbledore's knowledge and experience, he has never heard of anything like this. It looks like we are about to have a talented student and future famous alumnus. Dumbledore was very happy and his snow-white beard moved twice. "I hope he will be more obedient." McGonagall recalled the questions Wayne asked her at the Leaky Cauldron and said with some concern, "The Weasley twins are enough of a headache." Dumbledore didn't care much. "Student, it's better to be more lively." Whenever he sees those energetic students, Dumbledore is always gratified from the bottom of his heart. These little wizards are his most precious treasure. After saying a few more words, Professor McGonagall left the principal's office. Dumbledore also put the matter of Wayne behind him. He now had many problems to think about. The boy who lived is about to arrive at Hogwarts. As if pulled by fate, Voldemort, who has been dormant for 10 years, also reappears and is eyeing the Philosopher's Stone. He specifically borrowed the Philosopher's Stone from Nico Flamel, and he took the initiative to let the news out. This is a bait. Not only could he be used to test Harry, but he could also attract Voldemort's attention and observe his condition. In order to be sure, more adequate preparations must be made. Sighing, Dumbledore took out a copy of the Daily Prophet. The headline on the cover was "The Theft of Gringotts a Few Days Ago." The teacups are flying. Wayne lay comfortably on the sofa, picked up the wand on the table and chanted the spell. A cup filled with black tea flew out steadily from the kitchen and landed in his hand. During the whole process, not a drop of tea was spilled. After drinking all the tea in one breath, Wayne put down the wand and tapped the teacup twice. The water flows and the teacup is filled again. According to the first of Gamp's laws of transfiguration, food cannot be transformed out of thin air. Just now, Wayne did not conjure black tea out of thin air, but used a charging spell to summon the black tea from the teapot in the kitchen into the cup. Silent spells and wandless spells can be considered beginners, but they can only be used on some simple spells. The continuation spell is a very simple magic, so he can cast the spell without a wand, and he doesn't even need to recite the spell. But the flying curse is much more difficult. This is a curse that can only be learned in the 5th grade. Now Wayne cannot cast spells without a wand for the time being. Wayne's magic level has long exceeded the standards of first-year students, or in other words, surpassed most of the young wizards in Hogwarts. But as you learn more about magic, you can appreciate its depth. The magic in the world of Harry Potter is too idealistic, and it is not an exaggeration to call it the power of my imagination. It highlights a wish that comes true. The level of a wizard does not depend on how many spells he has mastered. But it lies in how deeply he understands magic and how much he knows about his own soul. At least now, Wayne feels that he is similar to Hermione in the original book. He knows a lot of spells, but he is just not strong enough, and he is not good at it. Forget it, why are you pushing yourself so hard? Wayne laughed and shook his head, realizing that he was a little impatient these days and wanted to realize all his talents immediately. But in fact, he is not even a first-year student now, he is just a preparatory little wizard. After drinking all the black tea in his cup, Wayne got up and entered the kitchen to prepare a casual dinner. The servants and chefs at home have been transferred to other positions. Although I felt a lot more comfortable, it was a bit troublesome to prepare 3 meals a day by myself. Today is the 10th day since I got the pet egg. Calculating the time, I guess it will hatch soon. So when the meal was ready, Wayne didn't finish it in the restaurant. Instead, he took the plate and returned to the bedroom to watch over it, so that he could not find his mother when the little one was born. No, it's Dad. After he finished eating, the little guy still had no intention of coming out. Wayne simply didn't leave, and just lay in front of his desk in a daze, thinking about which college would be better for him to enter. Slytherin would definitely not consider it, and he would not go even if the sorting had recommended it. He was a Muggle-born little wizard who entered Slytherin just to attract hatred. If he wanted to have an easier time, he probably had to defeat all the little snakes like Voldemort did back then. In that case, his points would definitely explode, but it would be too troublesome. It is also easy to be targeted by Loudang. Gryffindor isn't a good choice either. First, being too close to Harry was basically equivalent to living under Loudang's surveillance, which was very unfree. Secondly, Wayne himself is not interested in Gryffindor. It sounds nice to say that they are courageous and adventurous, but Chun-Chun is a group of noisy and reckless people, and they extremely reject people who don't fit in with the group. Like Hermione in the beginning. We were all happily mischievous and conspicuous. Just you studying hard there, what does that mean? In addition, Gryffindors place great importance on collective honor. Even if Harry deducts points for the house, he will be criticized and subjected to cold violence. On the one hand, they are the largest mischievous group in the school, and on the other hand, they are most eager for collective honors such as the College Cup. What kind of ultimate contradiction is this? Wayne didn't want to find fault. Then the only options left are Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff. Where is the better place to go? Click, click. The crisp sound of the eggshell breaking reached his ears, bringing the thoughtful Wayne back to reality, and he quickly raised his head. Carefully taking out the Pokémon egg and placing it on the soft velvet cushion, Wayne's eyes were filled with anticipation. Of course what he wants most is cute Pokémon like Gardevoir, Fairy Eevee, or Maluda. Of course, he doesn't dislike Rayquaza and Ice Dragon Kyurem either. Click. The upper part of the eggshell was completely separated, and the little guy revealed his true appearance. Wayne stuck his head out and then his eyes widened. Is this a toucan? Chirp. Choo choo choo. The newly born little guy screamed angrily when he heard his master call him, and even ate the eggshells. He stumbled out and pecked Wayne's fingers. And because of the newborn relationship, the little guy's attacks are like scratching an itch. Wayne scratched his head in confusion, not understanding why it was so angry. No one can evolve to the final form right after birth. I should call you Spearow. Spearcock stopped pecking his fingers, his whole body was trembling, and then he pecked faster. Even the system was left speechless, and it was rare to jump out on its own initiative. Host, this is Phoenix King. The quintessential Chinese sentence came out, and Wayne looked at the little guy in surprise. Is this Phoenix King? If you look closely, you can see that it looks like a Phoenix King, but it has no hair and looks more like a big-billed bird. The little guy raised his head proudly, as if to say, Master, you finally recognized my identity. He turned his head, pointed his butt towards Wayne, and began to chew on the eggshell. Seeing the Phoenix King enjoying his meal, Wayne also fell into ecstasy. This is Phoenix King, a legendary Pokémon that has all kinds of magical abilities and can even resurrect the dead. Even though its combat power is not strong, it is compared to other mythical beasts. Compared with ordinary Pokémon and even quasi-gods, it is definitely not a weakling. Compared with the Phoenix in this world, the Phoenix King must be far beyond it. The two gift packages of the system are really full of sincerity. An SS-level template card has made Wayne's talent reach a historical level. The other pet turned out to be the Phoenix King, and the cards were filled up immediately. System, how can I upgrade Phoenix King? Wayne asked. By absorbing energy-containing food, the Phoenix King can grow on its own over time. By defeating other magical animals, you can also gain battle experience and accelerate upgrading. Wayne nodded, the request was quite simple. Looking at the little guy who was about to eat all the eggshells, Wayne also smiled. Let me call you Phoenix King from now on. Phoenix King, when I get to Hogwarts, I will take you to level up in the Forbidden Forest and reach your heyday as soon as possible. Upon hearing the master's words, the Phoenix King chirped and flapped its little wings on its chest, as if to make a guarantee. In the days that followed, Wayne transformed into a nanny and took care of King Feng at home every day. He bought a lot of pet food from the magical creatures store and let King Phoenix choose the flavor he liked. He also bought a few bottles of horned beast milk at a high price, and King Phoenix liked it very much. Within a week, Hermione also returned the book to Wayne. When Wayne asked her if she wanted to read any more books, Hermione refused. She was going to start previewing the first-grade textbooks so that she wouldn't be caught up in school. Wayne was also a little speechless. They always previewed the night before class, so how could they start preparing during the summer vacation? Worthy of being the king of Hogwarts volumes. Back home, besides playing with Phoenix King, Wayne did not learn any more magic spells. Instead, he shifted his focus to herbalism and potions. The most effective way to empty a little wizard's wallet is to sell prank products, or some interesting potions, like the twins. Wayne must improve his potion level as soon as possible, develop special products, open up new tracks, avoid homogeneous involution, and complete overtaking in corners. Relying on the Memory Palace talent, his learning progress was amazing, and he occasionally tried to refine it himself without making any big mistakes. But Wayne is still a little dissatisfied. Compared with other talents that are always SS and S level, the A-level potion talent is indeed a bit low. But there was nothing he could do. He was now broke and had only dozens of points, so he couldn't draw a lottery even if he wanted to. For a while, Wayne was already looking forward to the start of school. Finally, the time came to August 31st. After Humphrey got off work in the evening, he went directly to Wayne's house. He would stay here today and take Wayne to King's Cross Station early tomorrow morning. Looking at his sister's only son, Humphrey couldn't help but say a few words. "You must pay attention to safety in the magical world. According to the information I know, they seem to have ended a turmoil 10 years ago. If you encounter danger, you can go to the Minister of Magic directly, or you can go to me directly. As long as the matter happens in the British Isles, I can sort it out for you." At the end of the sentence, Humphrey couldn't help but straighten his suit, and the corners of his mouth could not help but rise. Wayne noticed something and asked tentatively, "Uncle Humphrey, are you going to be promoted?" "Not sure yet." Humphrey waved his hand modestly, but his smile had already betrayed him. "Sir Arnold has decided to retire and thinks I've done a good job." Arnold, Wayne calls him the Big Devil, should be the most powerful man in the British Isles. The Prime Minister of this country is just a politician who has been put on stage, and the real chess players who control power are the civilian secretaries. "Then I congratulate Uncle in advance." Wayne raised his glass and drank all the milk in the glass. Humphrey also finished his own red wine, put down his glass and sighed. "Finally we can get rid of Huck, a third-rate minister." Wayne looked at him thoughtfully. "I think a proper push isn't such a bad thing." "You mean, push Huck up?" Humphrey showed an incredible expression. "Are you kidding, Wayne? He is just a third-rate politician who graduated from a political and economics college. How is that possible? None of this is important. What's important is that you and Uncle Huck have been working together for 3 years, so you know everything. Rather than changing to a partner you're not familiar with, why not continue to cooperate? Wouldn't that be a good idea?" Hearing this, Humphrey fell into deep thought. Indeed, as Wayne said, if Huck becomes Prime Minister, it won't take much effort for him to cooperate. Although the only thing on Huck's mind is his approval rating, the occasional burst of killer instinct will frustrate him. But in essence, he is still a good old politician, so don't worry too much. "I will consider what you said. Okay, let's not talk about this anymore." The next day, 10:30, Wayne arrived at King's Cross Station on time. In 1785, Watt improved the steam engine, and industrial production entered a new era. In 1814, Englishman Stephenson invented the first train and named it the Traveller. Since then, trains have become an indispensable means of transportation for people in England. Many people take trains to London to commute to and from get off work, and then transfer to other buses or subways to reach their offices. From this aspect, the Ministry of Magic is actually quite following the trend. Since the 1950s, the Hogwarts Express has taken on the task of transporting young wizards between the school and London. Until then, students can choose any way to get to school that they find interesting, and they make a lot of jokes as a result. There were even casualties. It wasn't until the then Minister of Magic, Alan Gamble, defied all odds and launched the largest secret operation in the history of the British Ministry of Magic to build the railway. A total of 176 forgetting spells were involved, as well as a large number of hidden spell-casting records. Most of the Muggles responsible for building the railway felt that they had forgotten something important, but they could not remember it. This trouble lasted for a full year before it ended. So, when you find that you can't remember something, don't doubt it, someone must have cast a forgetting spell on your brain. September 1st. A special day for students in England. This means that the more than 2-month summer vacation has come to an end. Countless students are either happy or disappointed in embarking on the journey back to school. If it is a boarding school, it means that the next time they go home will not be until Christmas at the earliest. It's okay to be virtuous. King's Cross Station is the terminal station of London Railways. On this day, the station also ushered in its own climax, peak. Students and parents carrying large and small bags can be seen everywhere in the station, rushing to their stations. Wayne traveled lightly, only carrying a medium-sized suitcase. Apparently, the box had been cast under a traceless stretching charm, but it wasn't Wayne's own work. The traceless stretching spell is an extremely profound spell. It is recorded in the book, Standard Spells, level 7 inches, which means that only 7th grade students are eligible to access it. After spending a morning, Wayne learned this spell and cast 2 on his pants pockets. As for the box, he got it through his connections at Tuofen clothing store, and it cost him 120 galleons. The use of the invisible stretch charm is strictly restricted by the Ministry of Magic and cannot be used for private purposes. It must be registered to be legal. Although Wayne strongly suspected that this kind of law was introduced due to some ulterior interests between the Ministry of Magic and those manufacturers of tents and suitcases. But he is just a newbie now, and he is not qualified to compete with the Ministry of Magic. It is better to do less than to do more. Any trouble that can be solved with money is not a trouble. Walking towards platform 9 3/4, Wayne observed the crowd around him. He saw several men wearing black trench coats and dome hats patrolling the area casually, and he guessed that these people should be staff sent by the Ministry of Magic to maintain order and deal with accidents. After all, ordinary people are just muggles, not fools. People will always notice if a group of people disappear after hitting a pillar. At this time, staff need to come out to wash the floor. Wayne looked around first and found that no one noticed the situation on his side. He pretended to be nonchalant and walked into the 3rd pillar between the 9th and 10th platforms. It's like piercing a membrane. It's very narrow at first, but after taking dozens of steps, it suddenly becomes clear. When the light returned before his eyes, Wayne had arrived at a new world. The old-fashioned steam train whistles and buzzes, and the excitement is no less exciting than outside. After a brief glance, Wayne cursed inwardly. Rowling knows shit about Harry Potter, and she said there are only 3,000 wizards in the UK, and there are 1 or 2,000 here alone. Could it be that all the wizards came to the fair? The little wizard took the time to say goodbye to his family, and the parents also gave them endless instructions. It looked messy but a little warm. But few had sad looks on their faces. For the wizarding world, with the regulations prohibiting the use of magic by underage wizards, the 2 months of summer vacation have not been very pleasant. Although there are classes in school, you can use magic and have a group of like-minded friends, which is much better than being at home where everyone hates dogs every day. Of course, there are those who wear masks of pain on their faces. He probably remembered that forgotten homework from the summer vacation. Wayne didn't stop too long on the platform. He just searched casually and boarded the Hogwarts Express without noticing Hermione, the only little wizard he knew. It was only 10 minutes before we started driving, and along the way, the carriage in front of us was almost full. Carrying the suitcase, I didn't find a private room with only one person until I reached the second half of the carriage. The door was open, but he knocked politely. "Excuse me, can I sit here?" The little wizard in the box who was reading a book raised his head, revealing his handsome face. Both of them were shocked at the same time. This guy is only as handsome as me. This was Wayne's mental activity. Merlin, there is a little wizard who is more handsome than me. This was the psychological activity of the young people in the room. Of course, sit wherever you want. The man reacted very quickly. While sighing in his heart, he stood up enthusiastically and helped Wayne put his luggage on the shelf. After everything was done, the two sat opposite each other. The little wizard stretched out his hand and put a gentle smile on his face. "Hello, I'm Cedric Diggory, a third-year student at Hufflepuff. You should be the new little wizard who enrolled this year, right?" He said with great certainty that even if he didn't remember all the students in the school, the appearance of the little wizard opposite him would definitely become famous in Hogwarts. It was difficult for him not to know. Wayne was also stunned. Unexpectedly, this person turned out to be the Hogwarts version of someone else's kid. Cedric has only appeared in 2 books, but is extremely popular. Wayne also extended his hand and the two shook hands. "Hello, my name is Wayne Lawrence, and I am indeed a freshman this year." Woo! Not long after Wayne sat down, the train's whistle sounded again and started on time at 11 o'clock. After the two exchanged names, they also started chatting. Cedric is a standard Hufflepuff, kind and enthusiastic. After learning that Wayne was a young wizard born in a Muggle family, he shared a lot of common sense that new students at Hogwarts should know. Don't be too nervous. The professors in the school are all very good people. Well, I mean most of them. Cedric thought of a certain greasy middle-aged potions professor, and quickly added, what if Wayne comes to settle a score with him in the future? Next, He introduced several colleges in the school to Wayne. Cedric spoke eloquently. Although Professor McGonagall is usually very strict, as long as you attend class seriously and do not disrupt class discipline, she is also a very easy-to-talk person, because she vents her anger on the Gryffindor students. Professor Flitwick's character is more interesting. By the way, it is said that he has the blood of goblins. Don't discuss his height. As for Professor Sprout of our college, she is also a very gentle lady. The only taboo is the plants in the greenhouse. She doesn't even care whether the college points are deducted or not. Teaching Snape, let's skip this. Just stay away from him. Wayne, do you have any favorite college? Hufflepuff, I've seen, Hogwarts, a school history. Muggle-born wizards are usually sorted there. Wayne did not hide it and revealed his destination. Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, he finally chose Hufflepuff. Although human wisdom is the greatest wealth. But, Hufflepuff's lounge is right next to the kitchen. As long as you want to study hard, knowledge will never leave you in any college, but the kitchen will. Both Gryffindor and Ravenclaw are located in the towers on the top of the castle. If he gets hungry one day, Wayne has to go all the way to the basement to find food, which is very inconvenient. After hearing his words, Cedric was obviously happier. What a wise choice. I guarantee that your school life will be extremely happy, because Hufflepuff is the best academy. We can't pretend we didn't hear this. There was a joking voice at the door, the box door was opened, and two little wizards walked in one after the other. They looked exactly like they were carved out of the same mold. They both had fiery red hair, and even the expressions on their faces were indistinguishable. Fred, George, Cedric greeted awkwardly. Long time no see. Although he didn't say anything bad about other colleges, it still made him a little embarrassed to be heard praising his own college. Ah. One of the twins spreads his arms and expresses an exaggerated expression. Let me see who this is. Another person immediately responded, idiot. You don't even know him. This is the top student in the whole grade for 2 consecutive years, a model student in the eyes of all teachers and parents, Mr. Diggory. It was like a cross-talk between the two of them, one and the other. Wayne watched with great interest. Cedric, the person involved, had his ears red and wanted to find a place to hide. He quickly grabbed the two people who wanted to say something more, and whispered through gritted teeth. What on earth are you two doing? Save some face for me in front of my juniors. Yes, Cedric has also determined that Wayne will most likely join Hufflepuff, and of course he has to protect his image. TCH. Fred curled his lips. Now you know how to save face, because your father is showing off your achievements in front of our mother. Do you know how difficult it was for George and I this summer? Cedric sighed and let go of Fred's sleeves. He was in the wrong. Who asked his father to show off his son's achievements when he met others? Now the entire Ministry of Magic knew that the Diggory family had a talented little wizard. Tell me, how can you let me go? Cedric asked resignedly. The twins looked at each other and high-fived excitedly. The plan worked. Take out all your summer homework and give it to you before class tomorrow. We've been looking for you for half a month, but you haven't been home. Mom said you went to the United States to become a vampire. Is that true? Of course it's fake, Cedric said angrily, took his school bag from the luggage rack, and handed the homework to the two of them. After putting their things away, the twins had no intention of leaving. The Diggory family and the Weasley family both lived in the same village, separated by a mountain, but they could also be called neighbors. Therefore, even if they are not in the same college, they are quite familiar with each other. Only then did they have time to look at Wayne. Hello, I am Fred Weasley, and he is George Weasley. Fred introduced himself, and then gave a thumbs up. You are so good looking, much better than our younger brother, who is also this year's freshman. George added, the one with red hair and freckles is our brother Ronald. I hope you can be sorted into Gryffindor, that is the best house. Wayne was noncommittal. Everyone will praise their own college so much, but I don't think there is a big gap. With the presence of the twins, the box instantly became lively. These two people have a unique charm. No matter how loud they are, they will not make people feel irritated. Except for those prank targets. But they wouldn't play pranks on Wayne for no reason. Firstly, it's because they just met and they're not that familiar yet, and secondly, it's because Wayne hasn't entered school yet, so there's no sense of accomplishment in bullying a kid. The train was getting faster and faster, and after a while, the snack seller came over with a trolley. Wayne bought BB's multi-flavor beans, Super Bubble Hall, Chocolate Frog, and a few pumpkin pies. It only cost 10 sickles and 6 nats in total. The train departed at 11 o'clock, and it was already evening when it arrived at Hogwarts. He had both snacks and lunch. The salesperson put the things on the table, and Wayne invited a few people to eat together without being polite to him. Cedric and Gemini couldn't help but enjoy it with him. But this also quickly brought the relationship between Wayne and the three of them closer. The twins have a tacit understanding and are ready to step up the intensity for Wayne. Cedric noticed something strange and wanted to stop these two guys. But when he heard George's question, his expression became strange. "Wayne, you know what? You are not actually a real Hogwarts student now. Only after passing the rigorous test can you be considered for real admission. It has been a long-standing tradition for all wizards to intimidate newly admitted wizards during the sorting ceremony. Even a young wizard born into a wizarding family will not get any real information before then. I had been caught in the rain, so of course I chose to tear up my children's umbrellas as well." With a silent understanding, this fine tradition is said to have been preserved for hundreds of years, and no one has broken the unspoken rules to this day. Obviously the Gemini's current plan is to scare Wayne. Ahem. George cleared his throat and quickly got into the mood, with a solemn and slightly frightened expression on his face, which made Wayne wonder. Why should I be a wizard if I have such acting skills? Wouldn't it be fun to go to Hollywood and make a lot of money? I really don't want to think about what I experienced, because it was too scary. Fred sighed in agreement. Our class requires young wizards to persist under the hands of trolls for 10 minutes, and they will be assigned to colleges based on their performance. By the way, do you know what a troll is? Wayne nodded very cooperatively and showed a scared expression. I know, I bought a copy of Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. That's good. George felt happy, and what he said now felt more immersive. Charge at the front, the bravest will be assigned to Gryffindor, the one who uses strategy will be assigned to Ravenclaw, and the one who persists in practice will be assigned to Hufflepuff. What about Slytherin? Wayne asked curiously. Fred rolled his eyes. They used the back door. Cedric complained about the twins' bullshit skills in his mind, but he still nodded with a serious face. Yes, that's it. The twins looked at him in surprise. They didn't expect Cedric to cooperate with them, as long as they didn't cause trouble, but this guy actually took the initiative to provide assists. Good boy, it turns out that you, with thick eyebrows and big eyes, are also full of evil. Cedric blinked innocently. What's wrong? Is there any problem? I'm just continuing the tradition of Hogwarts, why are you looking at me like that? Wayne still looked like a scared baby, but he was sneering in his heart. It's pretty good. If he hadn't cheated and traveled through time, he might have been deceived by these guys. Then what should I do? If it doesn't work, I can go home. I don't have a single magic spell at the moment. Wayne showed his panic so vividly that the three of them almost had stomach cramps from laughing, but they still pretended to be giving advice to him. After a while, the three finally speculated that their entrance test this semester should be to defeat the ghoul before the end of the journey. If they weren't afraid of scaring Wayne to tears, Gemini and Cedric would probably be able to get the bus to the stop. The train drove through the golden wheat fields and gradually penetrated into the vast no man's land. The train was traveling extremely fast, estimated to cover 100 kilometers an hour. For a classic car that has been in service since the last century, it's pretty good. Wayne took out a compass from his pocket, and then took out parchment and quill to write and draw. Wayne, what are you doing? Gemini asked curiously. Oh, I'm calculating the exact location of Hogwarts. We will be in Scotland in about 2 hours. The twins looked at each other and said in unison, what are you doing calculating this for? Idle time is also idle, you should always find something to do for yourself. Wayne saw that the compass had gained some angles and quickly wrote it down. Since you're bored, let's play crackling cards. Fred smiled and took out a set of red playing cards. This kind of card looks no different from Muggle cards, but it will explode. When you throw out 4 twos and shout out the bomb boldly, you are worthy of the name. Aren't you going to make up your homework? Cedric was a little helpless. He was watching Dark Force, Self-Defense, To Kill Time. If he played cards, it would definitely be too noisy to watch. Fred didn't take it seriously. Isn't there still one night left? What's the rush? Let's come together. The sound of crackling and explosions was soon heard in the room, but unfortunately, every time the cards exploded in the hands of the twins, almost hitting George's eyebrows. Gemini also wondered why Wayne was so safe when holding the cards, but turned into a powder keg when it was their turn. Cedric also looked at Wayne suspiciously. He always felt that Wayne had done some tricks, just like those senior wizards who could already tell when the cards were going to explode. Should Wayne? Impossible, this is just a little wizard who has not yet entered school. Shaking his head, Cedric put this outrageous thought behind him. Boom, boom, boom. The knock on the door rang again. George, whose face was a little gray, quickly put the cards on the table and opened the box door in a few steps. Have you seen Lifu? Oh, that's a toad, eh, Wayne? Outside the door was a girl with a little fat guy. The girl was Hermione. After she finished speaking, she saw Wayne sitting by the window, and her little face immediately became surprised. After returning the book to Wayne, she went to Diagon Alley a few more times, but never met Wayne once. After getting on the train, she searched around and saw no one in the end, so she could only find a box to sit down. Hermione, long time no see. Wayne also smiled and waved to the little witch. Today's Hermione was cuter than the previous times. Her hair had obviously been taken care of carefully and not allowed to stretch freely. I looked for you after I got in the car, but I couldn't find you. Hermione said quickly, but when she saw the fat man hiding behind her, she changed the subject. Did you see a toad? Several people shook their heads, and Cedric comforted him. Don't worry, toads are very intelligent. Your Lifu may just feel too bored and go out to play. Sooner or later he will come back to you. I hope so. Neville was about to cry. If Grandma knew that I lost my rifle before I got to school, she would definitely scold me. Leaving a message to find her after getting off the car, Hermione continued to take Neville from carriage to inquire. After the two left, Fred looked at Wayne. Do you know the little witch just now? We met in Diagon Alley, what happened? Wayne looked at him strangely. Nothing. Fred shook his head, and then he and George said in unison. Seeing this little witch is like seeing little Professor McGonagall. Wayne. All the way to the north, the sky gradually darkened. Except for Hermione who came again after she left, no one came to disturb the box again. The snacks Wayne bought were all divided among the four of them, except for a few BB multi-flavor beans. Fred used his hair to guarantee that these multi-flavor beans either smelled like boogers or cockroaches and should not be eaten. But as night fell completely, they rubbed their stomachs and still felt a little hungry. Should be arriving soon, Cedric guessed as he looked out the window at the completely dark sky. Sure enough, after another half an hour, the train signal sounded. The train will arrive at Hogwarts in 5 minutes. Please leave your luggage on the train and we will deliver it to the school. It's finally here, I feel like I'm so hungry that I could eat a cow. Fred complained, and several people stood up, took off their coats and put on their robes. It is now 6:30 in the afternoon, and the train has been traveling for nearly 8 hours. After traveling more than 1,000 kilometers, they had arrived at the northwest border of the British Isles, the Scottish Highlands. When Wayne thought about future generations, there was a fierce debate over Scotland's independence, and it was necessary to leave the Commonwealth whether or not. I don't know if this school is successful in the British wizarding world. With a guess of having fun, Wayne walked out of the compartment door and got off the train. It was a small, dark station. Although it is still September, the weather here is still very cold, with a chill, and many young wizards tightened their robes. Wayne, this way. Hermione saw Wayne first and shouted loudly. The boy walked over, and beside her Neville had disappeared. At this time, an oil lamp lit up. Freshmen. Freshmen, come here, follow me. Seeing Hagrid's huge body, many freshmen trembled like quails and followed him obediently, just like an old hen with her chicks. They passed through a steep and narrow path, pitch black on both sides, when Wayne felt a sudden force on his arm. It turned out to be Hermione. The little witch said nothing and grabbed his sleeve with some force. Are you afraid of the dark? Wayne raised the corner of his mouth and looked sideways at the little witch. No, Hermione said harshly. I'm just a little nervous coming into a completely unfamiliar environment. I'm 11 years old, who would be afraid of the dark? Ouch! The little wizard screamed in pain in front of them. A girl fell down. The humid air made the road extremely muddy. Hermione quickly stepped forward and helped the girl up. Thank you. The girl who was helped up said gratefully, but she was about to cry again when she saw the dirt on her robe. At this time, Wayne took out his wand and whispered softly, "Clean up." Suddenly, the filth all over the girl's body disappeared, and her robe became tidy again. Thank you. The girl thanked her excitedly, with little stars in her eyes. You have actually mastered magic. It's really amazing. Not bad, Wayne. Hermione raised her eyebrows. Just now she met a little red-haired boy on the train who couldn't cast a spell after holding it in for a long time. Looking at Wayne's skilled posture, the difference was huge. After all, buying so many books is not for nothing. Wayne smiled. Let's hurry up and keep up. The two girls nodded and followed Wayne. After walking for more than 10 minutes, I turned a corner, and then there was a burst of surprise. Oh! A black lake appeared at the end of the narrow path. On the other side of the lake was a cliff. A majestic castle stood there with dripping spires and lights shining through the windows like stars. Wayne also admired the beautiful Hogwarts castle, and the mysterious and unknown atmosphere fascinated him. In another world, countless children look forward to an owl coming home with a letter every day. Now, Wayne has fulfilled their wish. There can be no more than 4 people in each boat. Hagrid pointed to the small boats moored on the shore and boarded one alone. The wooden boat has sunk significantly, visible to the naked eye, making people worried about whether it can withstand the weight of the hybrid giant. Wayne and the others fell at the end, and there were only 3 of them on the boat. The boat sailed towards the castle, and the girl also said her name. Susan Bones. Wayne remembered that this person was also a character in the original book, and his family relatives included high-ranking officials from the Ministry of Magic. Lower your head. As the boat approached the cliff, Hagrid's roar came over. Hermione and Bones quickly followed suit, but Wayne did not move. Until she passed the vines, Hermione straightened up and asked angrily, "Why didn't you obey just now? What if you were in danger?" Wayne looked at her with caring eyes. Even if that giant is lying in the boat, he is higher than me sitting up. He can pass, so why should I lower my head? Hermione opened her mouth wide, unable to find any words to refute for a while, and became angry with embarrassment. Then why didn't you remind us? Susan Bones nodded vigorously to express her agreement with Hermione. That is unacceptable. Wayne waved his hand nonchalantly. It will make you look more stupid if I remind you, right? Hermione was finally speechless. Fortunately, the boat arrived quickly, breaking her embarrassment. The group followed Hagrid, climbed a set of stone steps, and gathered in front of the huge oak door. After checking the number of people, Hagrid found that there were quite a few people. He raised his huge fist and knocked on the castle door 3 times. The door slowly opened, and Professor McGonagall, still wearing an emerald green robe, stood in front of the door. Many freshmen felt the severe oppression and did not dare to breathe. The first years are all here, Professor McGonagall. Thank you, Hagrid, leave this to me. McGonagall waved the door open, and the little wizards filed in. The foyer was extremely bright and warm, with burning torches every half-meter. A buzzing sound could already be heard coming from the right, but McGonagall led them to a small room on the other side of the hall. Professor McGonagall made an introduction, explained that he was about to be sorted into different schools, and then left, and would come back in 5 minutes. This time is left for the little wizard to sort out his clothes and adjust his mentality. Although the professor left the room, the atmosphere here became even duller. No one said anything and everyone was extremely nervous. Wayne glanced around, started mumbling something, and his expression became anxious. His outstanding appearance was particularly eye-catching. Finally, a little witch couldn't help but ask, "What are you doing?" Taken the bait. Wayne's eyes narrowed, like a beautiful fox. "I'm preparing for the next test." One sentence attracted everyone's attention. The little wizards were already nervous about the upcoming sorting ceremony and had a fear of the unknown. Judging from Wayne's performance, does he know more about the sorting ceremony? "Hey, do you know the assessment content of the sorting ceremony?" A domineering voice came from a boy with platinum blonde hair. Next to him were two silly giants who would have grown bigger than ordinary little wizards. The little wizard looks good, but his expression looks very flat, which makes him feel very unpleasant. Wayne's fists were hard. He had been the school bully for 4 years in elementary school, and no one had dared to talk to him like this for a long time. However, thinking about his plan, he still explained with a normal expression. I know, Cedric and the twins just told me about the sorting process. Ronald, who was standing next to Harry, whispered. Twins. It can't be George and Fred. Wayne also heard it and nodded. You are Ronald Weasley, right? Your brother told me about you. At this time, all the little wizards gathered around and asked in a hurry. What exactly is the sorting ceremony? Will there be any danger? I haven't mastered a single spell. Can I really enroll in school? Okay, I'm all hooked. Wayne was secretly happy. Did he really think he was so full and so cooperative with Gemini and Cedric on the train? On the one hand, Wayne is indeed a bit bored and just plays to tease fools. On the other hand, he just wants to trick the big ones. The hunt begins. Before Professor McGonagall came back, Wayne quickly told the twins and the sorting ceremony he had mentioned. He also kindly helped to improve some of the unreasonable things. As Wayne told the story, the faces of the little wizards surrounding him became paler and their legs became weak. Even those little wizards from pure-blood families were like this. Malfoy's face was completely drained of color. Although parents will use the sorting ceremony to scare their children to satisfy their own evil tastes. But it's not so detailed. After hearing what Wayne said, the group of little guys seemed to be able to feel the tragedy of the sorting ceremony. Ronald murmured to himself, it's over, I remembered that when the first grade came back during the summer vacation, both Fred and George were limping. It must be that the injuries sustained during the sorting ceremony haven't healed yet. In fact, this was just the twins who wanted to secretly go to the Forbidden Forest at the end, but Hagrid's teeth found out and drove them away. No one responded to Ronald at this time, and Harry had fallen into deep self-isolation. What to do? If he fails the test, will he be back in the Dursleys' display window? After seeing the artifacts of the magical world, he really didn't want to go back. Wayne finally sighed casually and said, if it's too dangerous, I'm going to give up the test and go back to my Harrow school. This also inspired several young wizards from Muggle families. If it doesn't work, let's just give up. Are everything you said true? Hermione was also frightened, hoping desperately that Wayne was lying to her. It wasn't me who said it was Cedric and Ronald's two brothers who said it. Wayne corrected. You may not know who Cedric is. He has ranked first in grade 2 years in a row and is a model student in the eyes of his parents. Hermione was on the verge of tears and had completely given up hope. Crunch. The door to the room was pushed open, and Professor McGonagall was stunned when he walked in. What's going on here? Although the little wizards in the past were very nervous, they wouldn't be like them, right? This is not a sorting ceremony. Those who didn't know better thought they were going to the Louis XVI happy stage. Before she could speak, a little witch ran over and asked in a tearful tone. Professor McGonagall, can I choose to drop out of school? What did you say? McGonagall could hardly believe her ears. What did she hear? There is a young wizard who wants to drop out of Hogwarts. And I. Ooh, Mom, where are you? I want to go home. 4 little wizards cried again. McGonagall's head was dizzy and he felt even more panicked. Since the establishment of Hogwarts, some students have been expelled, some have transferred to another school midway, and some have even been killed. But there has never been a student who wanted to drop out. But today she met them, and she met 5 of them at once. If word of this spreads, what will other magic schools think of Hogwarts? One thing can make them laugh for 100 years. Why do you want to drop out of school? Is it because someone bullied you on the train? The professor makes the decision for you. McGonagall tried to be kind and asked the little wizard gently. As the vice principal of the school, she must not let such a shameful thing happen and must appease these little wizards. You say something to a few people, and I say something to you. The words were very scattered, and it took McGonagall a long time to figure out what they meant. So, you are preparing to drop out of school because the sorting ceremony may be dangerous and you don't know how to do magic spells. All the little wizards nodded vigorously. In an instant, McGonagall's face turned red. Who is spreading rumors here, saying that the sorting ceremony is dangerous? It's nonsense. Swish, swish, swish. Suddenly, everyone's eyes turned to Wayne standing in the middle. McGonagall naturally noticed it and said angrily, "Mr. Lawrence, are you the one who is intimidating other students?" "Professor McGonagall, I didn't threaten them." Wayne pretended to be very innocent, even a little aggrieved, and said, "I just want to tell you what to expect during the sorting ceremony so that you can prepare in advance." "What's wrong with that? Then you can't talk nonsense. Trolls and ghouls are out. If it hadn't been for the sorting process, I would have deducted 20 points from your academy." Wayne was even more unhappy. "I'm not making this up, my senior told me." "Which senior?" Professor McGonagall asked. Wayne said without thinking, "George Weasley, Fred Weasley, and Cedric Diggory." At this moment, Professor McGonagall was completely numb. "Twins, you deserve to die."